What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, rather. Good afternoon to everyone. Oh, it is now 1:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I apologize for falling a few minutes behind. Some unexpected things happening at the house, so I had to tend to that. And now we are here. We're going to go over Erika Kirk's interview she did with CBS, and then we're going to go over the interview that the host, I think her name is Barry Weiss, did with CBS Morning. So there was the town hall with Erika Kirk, hosted by Barry Weiss, and then Barry Weiss went and did an interview with CBS Morning. So we're gonna check out both. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank y'all so much for being here. And make sure you hit the like button coming in. Put down the number of like that you are. Number 1, you're number 5, number 12. It doesn't matter. Just put down the number. Once you hit that like button, the like button ensures that these videos stay in the algorithm because YouTube is weird. And we want to ensure that this great content continues to reach out to the masses. So put down the number like you are. And I'm going to kick this off I say thank you to all the members, to all the supporters, to all of you supporting the Lady Luck Club. We're almost at 30,000 supporters, but I need you all to hit that subscribe button, and I need your help in sharing this content so that more people can come join and become a Luckster. I appreciate that greatly, and it just means a lot to me. It does. I work a regular job, so this is something I do for the spirit of journalism. I believe in keeping the truth and the facts and the evidence out at the forefront because you're always going to have people like a Candace Owens going to try to lie, deceive, and mislead. But sometimes we have to hold those people accountable. And Candace is catching it. I'm all too happy to help. But I just, believe in doing this for the right reason. Get the information out there. The research might not be the most salacious, but it is informative and it's what people need to know. Reading is fundamental, and we got to get back to reading. We got to get back to being in the mindset of researching and, wanting to have the facts on our side. And sometimes it takes a few people to start a movement for it to grow and for more people to realize we can't go on conspiracy theories 24/7. I'm not a theorist. I'd rather research and read information or pull information from you all. But being a conspiracy theorist, it sounds exhausting. And it's, you know, as opposed to reading information and getting facts, people would rather be conspiratorial. I just, it's okay to be inquisitive, but being conspiratorial where you don't want to look up information to find out what's going on is simply just, you rather might as well just say you're nosy. I don't even know how to put it. Nosy and gossiping. That's it. If you're not looking up information, questions you're asking, if you're not taking time to research information for yourself, for these theories that you have, then what are you doing? You're just sitting on a theory and you're not taking time to research. And Candace is lazy. We all know that. She doesn't research anything. So I believe that's what conspiracy theories do. It forces people to become lazy. It makes them complacent and complicit with just accepting what's being told to them, and they don't read and research for themselves. It makes you lazy. And that's, the problem. So we here are going to read and research and always put the facts out there in the forefront. So I have a video from Nick Brooks. You guys remember Nick Brooks? I played him two live streams ago where he went over the defamation case. He's an attorney. And he did a very good, just matter of fact, direct to the point, 3-4 minute video about that. He also posted a new video, I think yesterday. So we're going to check that out at the very end. But in the meantime, let's get some comments. Y'all, everybody speak to everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Jesus Come Now is a new member of the LLC. If you guys haven't noticed, I am posting up shorter videos and shorter clips in the members only channel so that you guys can enjoy those just shorter segments. I have a whole lot more to go. I think I have about 5 or 6 live streams with Candace alone. And then I want to do a couple from Umar that I'm going to put in the members only. So consider becoming a member. And I do have 10 free memberships that I'm going to give out. We get 10 free memberships every content creator when we're eligible for memberships. You get 10 free a month. So it's every 30 days. It's not like it's at the first of the month, it's every 30 days. So my 30 days, I don't think it's come up yet. But as soon as they do, I'm going to be giving back out those 10 free memberships so that more people will be able to enjoy the content. So let's get to it. And I had to push back the time a little bit. I appreciate you guys working with me and being patient with me. What's going on, Miriam? Good afternoon. God bless everyone. Y'all, Christmas is coming up. Anyone in the Christmas mood? I am just feeling it. I'm so excited. Francisca, how you doing? Shout out to my moms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope everything is going well. Over there in the UK. So to all the moms, I appreciate you guys being on hands on deck in this because I do know there's going to be a lot of candy asses that's going to be, saying dumb things and they still don't want to read anything. But um, unless it's like a racial slur, anything like that, or it's straight out blasphemous, because I don't do blasphemous. We don't do code here. We don't put Candace Owens on a total pole to put her where she doesn't belong. She's not God. So we don't do that. I don't let adoration or worship be done in my chat against a mere mortal. Mm-mm. It'd be different if it was like a viable defense, but just coming in and trying to give her adoration and praise, go do that on her channel. Not over here. Over here, I'm the queen of this. And so, and plus, I don't want that. Like, you don't need to blaspheme. God is God, and that's it. And Candace is a mere mortal. So am I. But the last time I saw a comment about somebody comparing her to Jesus Christ, I was like, nope, nope. The devil is a liar. So, and then of course, derogatory. If it's just like someone's just being disgustingly, like they're just saying the worst of the worst comments, those get removed. But anything, if you are questioning, just shoot me a quick email, and just kind of give me a heads up and let me know, and then I can go from there. But typically, I try to let the comments just fly because the candy asses and the bots just gonna say whatever because they're whining. It is what it is. So, um, God bless and good afternoon to all of you. To internet is gossip. All right, cool. Andrea, how you doing, honey? Informative is much better than salacious. I know. Thank you so much. It is. Thank you so much, Susie Q. How you doing, honey? LLC, are you gonna go live stream USA tomorrow? I have to go to the office tomorrow. So if I can get home, I'll be able to live stream in real time. But if not, I'm gonna still live stream whatever happened during their live stream either way. So I think it's what 2 p.m. PT Pacific time. That'll be like 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if I'm home by then, yes, I will go live when they go live. But if not, then I will set up a live stream to go live and still check out theirs. We won't cover Candace unless it's like a clip or something. But we'll check out the actual debunking session. That's what I call it. Hopefully that's what they're doing this for. So they can kind of get her you know, to put the facts out there. So if they need to prove malice intent, they can say we tried to put the evidence out there to correct the record. She still refused to do it, just like in any other scenario. She won't do it. She will never apologize. So we put it out there. That's their responsibility in that. If they needed to prove malice intent, anything beyond that, I mean, it's on Candace. It's on her. So I hope they sue her. That's it. That's what the end goal should be after all of this. I hope they sue her because too many people have caught death threats, have been doxxed and subjected to cyber harassment and defamation and malicious slander. It's not even just slander, it's malicious slander. They're doing it with the intent to slander and to be malicious. It's just evil. And so when people are being put in the line of fire, they're having their lives threatened. There's kidnapping threats. That's malicious slander because now it's bringing about, threats of bodily harm and injury. And I hope they take that to court. That's what I hope. So, um, yeah, we're gonna still go live either way. What's going on, Dirk? How you doing? Paul Morrison said I sub. Thank you. And then CBS is yes, news is news. I'd rather them interview her directly in person than to come up with some nonsense that's not even true. Then they talk about, planes that we don't care about that didn't shoot Charlie Kirk. So yeah, Candace is crap too. Same thing can be said about her. That's why I believe in independent journalism, because it's like you can still have that outside source, but to just say they're crap and they can't say why, it doesn't make any sense. All right, let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it. Let's see here. So I'm gonna show. I want to make sure I refresh it because we're gonna do a live later on about Nick Fuentes. Although he says a lot of crazy things that come off just pure racist. I'm a black woman, of course. I'm gonna take offense to just having someone just degrade black people and stereotype all black people. It's just ridiculous. But he does keep his foot on Candace Owens' neck, and that I will agree to all day because she's out of pocket. And this is what needs to happen. Megan Kelly came out and said some stuff, and it's like, well, you should have said this last month, Megan Kelly, as opposed to trying to defend Candace. As you can see, defending her doesn't work. And I even asked, what does Candace Owens have over Megan Kelly? So she's got some information or something. Megan is too scared to get out. I mean, what is her deal? So thank God Megan Kelly is not mommy of the internet. And I do not have time. It's like, why not just speak out when you need to? When you let time pass by, this is what happens. So we're gonna play, Erika Kirk saying, "Stop, please stop, please stop," 2 separate times before she did this CBS interview. So we can see this pattern here of her saying, "Stop, please stop." It's basically like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. You don't like me, you don't like my kids, you want to be bothered with me at TPUSA. Leave us alone. How hard is that? It's easier to just leave Erika Kirk and TPUSA and her 2 children who are minors for the 6 sadistic people out here that are threatening to kidnap 2 small children. Leave them alone. You don't like them? Okay, leave them alone. You don't need to go after them. Just leave them alone. You're not doing this because you love Charlie Kirk. He's got 2 kids that are being threatened to be kidnapped. And these same soulless, evil miscreants from hell aren't even thinking about that when they're attacking Erika Kirk. The kids are catching threats to be kidnapped. Death threats. Can you imagine if someone tried to do something, God forbid, to Erika Kirk and the kids are standing there and they're just in the line of fire? So if you're advocating for something like that to happen to Erika Kirk, you're advocating for that to happen to the children. And if you're soulless and evil and sadistic and you don't care, then it is what it is. Don't get offended when someone calls you that. They don't think about the effect that it has on these kids. Not at all. What's going on, Julia? Just adorable. Thank you. I hope I can see it with you live. Oh yeah, I'm gonna try my best. Durka says I'm praying to sue her, praying they sue her. She sued her so that all the evidence of her utter lies are exposed. Although I doubt it'll make a difference with her sycophants. Her sycophants are irrelevant. No one cares about them. Not even Candace. Candace does not care about her cult members. She literally said, "I hate everyone." That's the reason why I showed that. She literally said, I hate everyone. She didn't exclude her cult and her supporters and her members and people giving her half their, paychecks. She said, I hate everyone. She's not studying her supporters and her sycophants. I never did. I never cared what they think or feel. But she doesn't either. Cult leaders never care. They're narcissists. They only care about themselves. Why would a cult leader, a narcissistic, psychopathic cult leader, care about her own cult members? That never happens. That doesn't align. If she doesn't give a crap about them, why should anyone else? So that is that's just part of her characteristics, as a narcissist. They don't care about anyone else, they care about themselves. She may care about her kids, but she doesn't seem to care too much if she's out here talking about, I got assassins after me, and then she takes the kids to Dollywood. So you putting you and the kids in a line of fire, because Candace is so stupid. So, I mean, she doesn't really care about her kids or their safety and protection. You don't take them to Dollywood. You're talking about you got assassins looking for you. But that's what you're dealing with a narcissist. I mean, that's to be. No one should expect anything beyond that. Expect Candace to be the narcissistic, pathological liar she is that hates everyone and doesn't even care about her own cult members, because she doesn't. She will never care about these people. Never. Not at all. She appreciated them hitting the like button and giving her all those views and sending her them supers, but she doesn't care about that. What do you know? Coat. As I said, I want Mars people to sue Candace. more people to sue Candace. Yeah, me too. In bulk. I hope Josh Hammer sues her. Yeah, they just need to go in on one big class action and just hammer time on her. It's hammer time in the courtroom. Just go hammer time on her. Let her have it. Oh man, many were friendly with Harvey Weinstein before they knew who he truly is. It happens. Yep, exactly. She defended Candace, basically accused Ben of lying, and quit following and responding to Dave Rubin. Yeah, and now she wants to sit here and say words. Megan Kelly, it's pathetic. We might play her before we get to the actual main event, but we're gonna get to this here. And like I said, I'm just playing the parts where Erika Kirk says in these various interviews that she has the absolute right to go on to stop. No one cares about Candace going over there with Russell Brand and doing whatever with him in the house. She goes and talks to other people as well. She goes on other podcasts. Erika Kirk is not subjected to living by anybody else's rules except God. So she gets to do what she wants to damn do. Then, this is what happens when you live your life and you don't live it for anyone else. So the cult members don't get to dictate her movements or her emotions or tears and none of that. So let's get to this. We're going to start off with this Fox News thing here. And then we're going to go to the next one was the Will Kane country or something like that. And then we'll pull up what Megan said, just for craps and giggles. And then, of course, we'll get to the main event with the town hall. So put a one in the chat when you can see and hear. Let's get to it.
Time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
What?
It's the conspiracies around Charlie's death. And
okay, so that was the Fox News. Y'all heard her say that. wearing that lovely red jacket. So here's another podcast where she's saying, "Leave me alone," in so many words. Leave her alone. Once again, leave her alone. Then, it's that simple to the cult members. Leave her alone. Why even care what she says it does? She doesn't have to pay your bills. Leave her alone. All right, here's Will King.
And, when this first happened, you know that I do this every day for a living, and you're a part of this.
How you doing, Amethyst?
Most of the ugliness and everything was coming
Good
from
to see.
a predictable direction, the left. Now it's on the right. It's everywhere. And let me start here. You felt, I know you were asked, but you felt that now was your time to address it. Why?
Well, like I said earlier, I just want a very peaceful Christmas. I want my team to have a peaceful Christmas. I'm not going to sit here and mudsling. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to insult. Everyone's loved my husband, and we're all trying to figure out what happened. I have a little bit more insight because I'm a victim. So I get to see the autopsy report. I get to see all of the files that our prosecution, has pulled together. I trust that case. And so while everyone's trying to find the ultimate explanation of digging deeper, that's one thing. If you want to dig into his Discord chats or whatever that guy was involved in, I don't care. Have a heyday with that. Go right ahead. I'm not telling you to not ask questions. I just told you this. I ask questions literally daily.
Yes.
That's not what this is about. What this is about is the accusations that somehow Turning Point USA, my husband's team, my husband's security team, my husband's friends, my husband's employees and myself are somehow implicated in his murder. That is a totally different line. Totally different line. So of course I am going to stand up for that. That's a line in the sand, because anyone who knew Charlie and knows us, that's sick. It's sick. But if you want to go after whatever you want to go after down that way of, great. But don't accuse us. Don't overanalyze. Like, honestly, Will, I have no idea how I would have reacted that day if I was there and I saw my husband be murdered. So how are you going to hyperanalyze those people that love my husband, that were with him that second, thinking that their reaction meant somehow they were involved in it? This is a one of one where social media has just had a heyday, tearing things apart. And what's so sad is that I know all of those people that were there that time.
I want to go back right quick because I want you all to pick up on something she said, because I don't have arguments about facts. When it comes to facts, there's no debate. I want you all to see what she said here. I'm a victim, so I get to see the autopsy report. She's also his wife and next of kin. So that's why she gets to see the autopsy report, not Candace Owens. Candace Owens is not entitled to anything regarding Charlie Kirk's medical records, ER visits, anything in that EMR. I don't care if it's a screenshot, email from the chief nurse to other staff. Candace Owens is not entitled or privileged to see any of it, because Erika Kirk would not ever give her consent to disseminate any of that information at all. A patient's health information, health data, PHI is not public information. The autopsy report is not public information. So that screenshot that Candace showed, that was sent to her from a hospital staff who violated HIPAA privacy laws. When they took that screenshot and emailed it to Candace without consent from Erika Kirk as next of kin and as the spouse of Charlie Kirk, broke the law, and then Candace, dumbass, posted that up on her channel, and she did that without consent from Erika Kirk. And I went over the information regarding free press and the media and what they are allowed to report regarding patient health information or medical information. I have a whole video on that. And that information can be researched and Googled by anyone. Reading is fundamental. And because Candace doesn't read a damn thing, people just go on what she says. But when you receive medical information illegally, meaning someone who was a covered entity, being the hospital staff, sent you medical information without consent from the next of kin, seeing that the patient is deceased. They sent it illegally when they violated HIPAA privacy laws. No one gave that hospital staff, whoever sent her that screenshot, any consent to email any entry into an ER, anything with Charlie Kirk's name on it. It was identifiable, so we saw his name, his date of birth, the department. It was an ER visit. He was shot. So naturally, people expect him to go to the hospital. That did nothing but show us that he went to a hospital. No one questioned that. And then Candace thinks that she's saying something by posting this up. He went to a hospital. That's all we need to know. It still has not gotten Candace closer to telling us who the shooter is. So it's irrelevant. And that would have came up from the murder trial either way, because an autopsy was done. Candace Owens is not entitled to see that autopsy report because she is not next of kin. She is not Charlie Kirk's wife. Erika Kirk is. The end. So all his personal effects, his medical records, anything related to the ER visit, the doctor's notes, medical summaries, anything that's in that EMR would go directly to Erika Kirk. Not even his parents, because he was married. We have a succession of what we consider next of kin in the healthcare system. That's why all of these things are important for people to know, so they're not walking around here thinking Candace Owens has the right to look at an autopsy report. No, she doesn't. By law, she doesn't. And she's not going to tell the cult members the law or anything, and they damn sure not going to read it themselves. But for those who actually are not aware, that's how that works. You would have to have an authorization form, a patient authorization release form signed by Erika Kirk in order to disseminate any information if you are considered a member of the press. I would have to get her consent if I had to speak on anything related to his medical. I don't care if his blood type on a medical record from an EMR system. I would have to get her consent to share that information. So the hospital staff was out of line. They broke the law. And the way the member of the press receives the information does matter. If you receive it illegally or unlawfully, meaning in violation of a federal law, then you cannot disseminate that information and do it without consent. And since the patient in this scenario is deceased, it would be the next of kin. It would be his spouse. So she's the only one that gets to see that autopsy report. And if she doesn't even want to share it with her parents, she didn't have to. She could be the only one that lays eyes on that between her and the dang on doctor and the prosecutor, because they'll get a release form from her. But it's in the efforts of making sure that it's presented as evidence in a murder trial. Outside of that, no. She's not entitled. Candace is not entitled to this. So I wanted to make sure that's covered, because you have idiots thinking, oh, she did nothing wrong posting that out. We needed to know the truth. What truth did we get out of that other than him going to the ER? They didn't get us any closer to another shooter. So no, we didn't. The entitlement is just pathetic over there in Candace cult member. Candyland is child. Yeah, find out the hard way when they see their leader fall.
Oh, this is the current line. This is what's happening.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Now, let me go back a little bit.
People that were there that day. And I know all of the people who are impacted by this that are within our close orbit. And it is painful to see on their face how exhausted they are to have to relive the trauma every single day. That's not fair. We are not robots.
How do they consume it, Erika? How does it, I mean, social media, how is it getting to you? Like, I know you said the chatter.
Well, the team tells me, I mean, I do not watch one thing. The team tells me if there's anything I need to know. I mean, honestly, right. I say, unless I really need to know, tell me, but if I don't, please, I don't need to hear it. But that's, we
so
try to guard it that way. But
they're saying this now, this is the current line. This is what's happening.
Not all the time. Sometimes honestly, it might not even be from the team. I'll get a phone call from someone and be like, hey, did you know that somehow you're involved with Romanian orphans being sex trafficked? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it becomes laughable at some point. I mean, again, we have been lied to over and over again. So there is a baseline of understanding of, okay, we're trying to seek the truth. I get that. Again, I'm not saying don't ask questions. But when you turn questions into accusations and you don't have proof, and you're leaving things open-ended as if our team or someone involved with our team is involved in it, and then you sit there and hyperanalyze my body movements, my tears, my frowns, my voice inflection, my faith, if it's not real or if it is real. I'm not going to waste my time with that. I have nothing to prove to you.
Where do you think it's coming from,
the
Erika?
truth? I beg your pardon?
Where do you think it's coming from? Like, what's the motivation?
That's for each individual person. Everyone has their own motive. I'm not going to assume what those motives are. Some, it might be, honestly, grief is weird. Everyone grieves differently. It's not linear, comes in waves. Everyone has their own personal relationship with Charlie in a way where even if you didn't even meet him, you have a personal relationship with him because you watched his videos or you went to a campus event. Then you get to the next tier where you actually did meet him. That's another personal layer. Then you get to the next tier where you were actually a friend. So I'm not going to sit here and question or hyperanalyze what someone's motives is. That's in their own heart, and that's what they have to deal with responding to the Lord. That I'm not going to go, you have to put your head down on your pillow at night, and whatever your decision is, that was your decision. Mm-hmm. What I do ask, though, is that you keep in mind, again, there is a difference between questions and accusations. And if you have accusations and you are going to go down that rabbit hole, provide proof. I don't care if you're a journalist or someone on X. If you say accusations, provide proof. You can't just throw stuff out there and then all of a sudden everyone thinks that somehow that's truth. It's not. And it's very hard to prove a negative. So if you say, well, I don't believe what they're saying, even though they're telling you the truth, well, how is the truth going to set you free if you don't believe the truth? So now you're just talking in circles. My only prayer for all of this is that all of us can remember that
talking in circles is what cult members do. They don't say anything that's unique. It's a copy and paste. I mean, look at the chat. They're literally asking me, do I watch Candace Owens' show? Never mind a whole playlist where we react to many of her shows. Like stupid questions. And I call it stupid because they could just go on the playlist and look at it. And they know I do. But they ask stupid questions, a copy and paste comment. But it's still stupid. Because those same people still comment to the live streams when we're watching her shows. It's the epitome of stupidity on steroids. But that's how they are. They don't read. They don't take the time to pull any information or anything. They're too busy following the leader and having this hive mentality.
Charlie was a thought leader. He would not want his life and his legacy to revolve around his murder. He would want his life and legacy to revolve around helping deliver the youth vote, helping to build Turning Point USA, helping to make a difference on college campuses. Mm-hmm. That is what I pray we focus on. The justice will be served, and trust me, it will. And again, you can have questions, but please honor my husband.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you one last question on this. And I want you to know, and I want everybody listening to know, I'm trying to ask you about this in the most respectful way, manner, acknowledging.
Oh, I know.
But I want you to know this is the juggle. And it's not woe is me. It's like, I don't want you to have to talk about something that you don't want to talk about. I also don't want to be juvenile. So the juvenile part of this is the prurient digging in. And it's also doing something that I've done so far in this interview, which I haven't mentioned Candace Owens. I just didn't mention her name. And I didn't do that because I don't want to force you to talk about it if you don't want to. But everyone listening knows. And so after a while, I'm like, well, don't be juvenile. Everybody knows what you're talking about. And I'll be upfront. I haven't kept up with it. I don't know everything. I don't know all the accusations. It's impossible. It's impossible to keep up with. So in a lot of ways, I guess I am asking about something that we're not addressing. And I don't think that's fair to the audience. So I'm going to ask you this last question on this. And what I'm going to say is you have made a choice that has changed in the last week. Your team has been talking. And you have also said that a bridge has been crossed, talking about people that you know. What I'm curious about, Erika, is going forward, will you and the team, do you think you will talk about it more? Do you think you will address all of the stuff? Because to your point, you said it, and I feel it. It's growing. It's not going away. You know, the chatter, the theories, it's growing. It's not going away. So how do you think you'll address that going forward?
Yeah, the chatter will always be there, regardless. If we spent all of our time going through every single accusation, we'd get nothing done at the office. Nothing. We were told that if we said stop, it would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop.
Breaking news.
So before we get to that, let me show what Megyn Kelly said. This is from Tamara Neely's channel. Shout out to her. She's doing very well. I think she haven't been too long recently started her channel, and she's been blessed to hit over 31,000 supporters. And one of the things I love about what she does is she prays before she starts each episode. So, you know, I always find that to be a fantastic way to start. And it's very unique, right? Even for conservatives who are ministers and pastors, you know, you don't really hear that consistency where they're praying before they start their live stream. And she does. So I do enjoy her content. And she did a great video.
Do so. Do not
on Megyn Kelly, I guess, you know, giving her thoughts about the case and everything. So I'm just going to play the portion where Megyn Kelly speaks. I was watching this video already, and I want to just play the portion where Megyn Kelly gives her little spiel. Even though she's been very hypocritical about all this when it came to Candace Owens, she won't say her name. You know, it's like she refuses to stand up to her. And I don't know why. And it's like you have nothing but, you know, time and energy, you know, to do this. So let's check out this part here, and then we'll get to the CBS town hall.
Very interesting, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
As I am a sane person who understands the law, I also know that the FBI, does not run around updating its investigation and releasing the very latest on what they found. And people who are demanding that the FBI or DOJ do so do not know anything about law enforcement.
Where was this energy when Ben Shapiro was telling Megyn Kelly that Candace Owens had been making claims against Erika Kirk and insinuating that her and Turning Point USA had something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder? Please let me know, where was that energy at, Megyn Kelly? Because I'm telling you, it doesn't make sense the way you've been defending Candace Owens, the way you are, and acting as though, oh, I don't watch her videos. I don't know what she has going on. I mean, she has this, she has that. And I just, you know, I don't know what's happening. I can't believe that for 2 seconds that Megyn Kelly didn't know what was going on. But anyways, I'll let her continue.
Some of us have been covering in depth legal cases and matters, and have even tried cases and matters for years. That is how I have spent the past 30 years of my life, plus trying cases involved in the legal system as a trial attorney, then a Supreme Court correspondent covering cases, civil and...
It's interesting that Megyn says that, because I'm referring back to that clip that went viral of Megan defending Candace Owens and saying, oh, well, she's investigating everybody. And, you know, she hasn't said anything about Erika. Okay, well, you knew good and well that Candace Owens is not a professional investigative journalist, but you decided.
Exactly. And let me add on, Candace is not licensed or certified to investigate a darn thing. So when she's out here impersonating an investigator, that should be reported to the feds. You know, whether it's FBI, CIA, don't care. Megyn Kelly said flat out, 4 straight lies. I don't know who Candace Owens is. She is not my friend. I do not watch her content. I don't watch her show. I don't take in that type of content. She made four false statements back to back to back to back on national television in front of Ben Shapiro. I mean, the fact that she said, I don't watch her show, and you could go on her YouTube channel and see clips that she's played from Candace Owens' show is mind-boggling. Just flat out lie. And she claims to have a law degree. You can't make this up.
To stay quiet then, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I need to start talking about it. And the question is why? Why is it now convenient for you to speak out against what's happening, what Candace Owens is doing? Please, Megyn Kelly. Because a lot of people are saying in the comment section of her content, and I'm seeing on X, people are saying that Megyn Kelly is doing this as a PR stunt, that her reputation is in jeopardy because she has not spoken out against what is Candace Owens is doing against Turning Point USA and Erika Kirk, and that's why she's doing this. Now, I want to know your take on that, but let's keep watching her, because either way, I'm glad she's saying this because she is right about in this clip.
And criminal. Then as a legal correspondent for Fox News, legal commentator for Fox News, and ever thereafter. And let me tell you something. The FBI does not run around updating its information after somebody gets indicted. It doesn't. It would be extraordinary if it were to do so. And the DOJ is extremely tight-lipped, normally, on its criminal cases. When it's not, it's behaving inappropriately. When it's not, you have rogue prosecutors who wasn't with the DOJ, Tish James, but like her, the Attorney General of New York, running around trying to update her case against Donald Trump, or Fani Willis shooting her mouth off about Donald Trump. What did we do when those prosecutors did that? We ripped them a new one because it's inappropriate. Stop requesting or requiring the FBI or the DOJ to update its evidence for you. You're
Candace Owens. Is that hard, Megyn Kelly? Stop requesting or requiring the FBI or DOJ to update its evidence for you, Candace Owens. You know, because I'm saying the hard part out loud, I guess. Because she doesn't want to make Candace Owens mad. Megyn, what does Candace Owens have on you? She's got evidence or dirt or something on Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is still being a coward. Because she won't say Candace Owens. No one else is demanding or requesting evidence from the FBI or the DOJ except Candace Owens. Everybody else, her cult members, are irrelevant. Their existence is insignificant in this. And we talk about Candace Owens because she has this influence on her platform. Otherwise, no one cares what the cult members think. Not even Candace Owens. But why won't she just say that? Candace Owens. Candace is the only one making these dumb demands. But yet, here's my thing. Here's the hypocrisy in this. Why is Candace Owens asking for any evidence from the FBI or the DOJ when she does not trust the FBI or the DOJ overall? Because the FBI falls under the DOJ. So why ask for evidence? She's not going to believe it either way. What difference does it make? Once again, the hypocrisy is staggering. The lies are on steroids. She's not going to trust any evidence they show her, period. And she does not care about the investigation. She said it herself. Candace Owens said, I don't care about that investigation. I don't care. So if the investigation being done in the state of Utah by the prosecutors that is being supported by the FBI, meaning the evidence that the prosecutor has in the state of Utah would be the same thing that the FBI has. So if you don't care about the investigation related to the murder trial, then that means you automatically don't care about whatever the FBI is doing. And if you don't trust it, why are you asking for evidence, Heifer? Why are you asking for evidence, Candace? You don't trust it. That means you're not going to accept anything they show you, anything they say, because it's not going to feed into your dumb narrative. So if she doesn't trust the FBI, leave them alone. Don't make demands of them. Leave their name out your mouth. You don't trust them. It's hypocrisy on top of hypocrisy. Don't expect them to do anything. You don't trust anything they have to show you. And Candace has a bad pattern of behavior with that. She did the same thing with the Macrons. Oh, they can send me photos. They can send me wedding photos. Why she don't have this? Why she don't have that? Meanwhile, they're sending this stuff to her, and she's not telling the public. She's not telling the public at all. I showed you all in a couple videos ago for a newsletter where one of my videos is listed as an exhibit, a possible exhibit. And there are photos that they sent to Candace she didn't even put out on her channel. She never told anybody one of the videos she received was she in a wedding wearing a black jacket before she even got married. And she's still a whole woman in that video, in that picture. It's a photo. My apologies, not a video, it was a photo. And she never said anything about that photo they sent to her. Never even brought it up. So she withholds information and picks and chooses what she wants to tell and dispel to the public because it's deception. It's lying by omission, Candace. Isn't that how you put it? You heifer. Lying by omission. So when she withholds things that if the public saw this, would probably have a different opinion, because now you get to see more photos that are more, it proves even more that she's a woman. But she doesn't show that, even though they sent it to her. They can prove what they submitted as exhibits. They're all labeled. And usually with an exhibits list, you have the name of the YouTube video or the type of photo, the year that it was taken. It has an actual exhibit number on it. You have to label your exhibits for court. So when you provide that exhibits list, they're all numbered. So she can't say, I didn't get this photo or I didn't get that photo. No, they have confirmation of what they sent you because they have an exhibits list. See, Candace wants to withhold information like that, and because she doesn't understand how court works, you have an exhibits list. You have to list all your exhibits you're going to introduce as evidence into the case. This is why she's sitting here filing for a motion to dismiss. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. She doesn't trust the FBI, but she demands all the stuff from them. Why? You're not even going to acknowledge it. What difference does it make? You don't trust them. So what? Why ask for it? Let them do their thing and leave them alone. And then, Candace, you tell us who the shooter is, because that's what you were supposed to be doing for 3.5+ months. You're supposed to be telling us who the shooter is. So get to the point, Candace.
Not the target audience. They're trying to preserve the integrity of this case for when they get it in front of a jury, who are the only people who matter. I'm sorry, but their opinion is the only opinion that's going to matter in this case. And they will come to that opinion based on evidence that gets.
I mean, I'm loving this sternness. Like, she's just very direct. This is why Megyn Kelly is who she is. She's Megyn Kelly. And this is a great example of that.
Submitted to them that passes the rules of evidence, which are there to maintain the integrity of a case and an investigation and of the defendant's constitutional rights. That's how our system works.
Now, I just thought about something as we were watching that. Do y'all think the reason why wait, actually, hold up, rewind. Let me show you guys this clip of Megyn Kelly saying that she is staying silent on Candace Owens and stuff like that. This was as of 1 day ago. I'm not talking about how she's been acting the past couple of months, but as of 1 day ago, she said she's staying silent for good reason. I want you guys to check out this clip first.
There's been a back and forth now between Erika Kirk and Candace Owens. And I want to ask you guys about the politics of this, the politics of it, and also the politics of Israel, because those two things right now are dividing the conservative movement and some inside of it. And now it's gone beyond the back and forth between like a Candace and the Turning Point group into this is going to cost us the midterms. The midterms, like,
don't lie in my chat. When I hear to hear about you being tapped into some alternate reality, there is a case. That's just a flat out lie. It's a flat out lie. Why even put that? There is a case. You just don't believe in it or like it. That's on you. But that's a flat out lie. Can I get one of the mods to delete this comment? Don't just flat out lie in my chat. I refuse to allow my platform to be devalued down to a dumb lie like this. It's a stupid lie. In this reality on earth, there's a case. You don't have to believe in the case. You don't have to trust it. I don't care. But don't just say it doesn't exist. Get that crap out of my chat. It's stupid stuff like this. Why lie? We're not here to tap into some alternate reality of any of the cult members. I don't care what they think or how they feel. To the candy ass cult members, you come to my chat on your own accord and at your own risk and at your own peril. I try to be fair in posting up comments from everybody, but don't just lie. It's like a slap in the face to say there's no case. Wherever your mind has gone to, take your body with you next time. Dumb lies are unnecessary. It's unnecessary. You don't have to put the guy out, but I just don't put dumb comments like that. It's a flat out lie. Flat out lie.
And you guys are the politics experts. So I'm going to set up the underlying argument on which you do not need to opine, but I'm going to ask you for your take on the politics of it. So for the audience, here is what happened. Something extraordinary happened yesterday. And just FYI, I am going to have more to say very soon on what's happening between Erika Kirk and Turning Point on the one hand and Candace on the other. Not today, but very soon. And I have my reasons for that. So Erika went on with Harris Faulkner yesterday in, again, promoting Charlie's book. And she said the thing that Candace had said from the beginning Candace needed to hear in order to stop with blaming Turning Point for Charlie's assassination. For the listening audience, we have a man in custody for the Charlie Kirk assassination. His name is Tyler Robinson. He will be in court today in a couple of hours on a hearing about whether and what access the media should have to this trial. We'll be covering that for you tomorrow. And Erika, as fired up as I've seen her on this, clearly addressed Candace directly without saying her name. And I know for a fact this was an address to Candace, and Candace knew it too because she responded to it. Here is Erika Kirk. This is how Erika teed it up. Let's start with SOT 9. SOT 9.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because she's replaying the Fox video that I played already. And we're going to get back to the town hall here. But I just wanted to show that portion of Megyn Kelly, I guess, calling herself trying to go off. Late as hell about this. I mean, why not have said this a month ago? 2 months ago. Candace has been demanding evidence from the FBI. And she doesn't trust the FBI. So if she doesn't believe what the FBI says, then why does she want them to give her evidence? It's stupid. And it's irrelevant to whether I or anyone else believes the FBI. To the candy-ass cult members, if you don't believe the FBI, stop asking us if we do. Clearly you don't. So don't demand evidence from them. It's dumb. It is absolutely hypocritical. You should not want to see what they have because you don't trust them, right? Isn't that the thinking? We all know it's not logical, but it isn't the thinking, I don't trust the feds, so why ask them for evidence? You're not going to trust what they show you. Your cult leaders got you thinking as dumb as she is. Because you guys are parroting her talking points and you're copying and pasting and you're not thinking for yourselves. So if you're going to sit here and have this hive mentality, stop asking everybody else if we believe what the FBI is doing. You don't. We got that. It's clear. Duly noted. That's the thing. They keep repeating that. We don't care you don't trust the FBI. We're not forcing you to. The only question we have is why ask them for evidence? You're not going to believe it. And watch how they dip and dodge around that. All right, so let's get to the town hall. And shout out to CBS for doing the town hall, having people come in and ask questions. We're going to be able to see that here. I'm going to make sure I got the captions on. Let's get to it.
Breaking news out of Utah Valley University.
There's an emergency response there, flooded by law enforcement.
The conservative activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot during an event.
The latest horrible example of what appears to be a rising tide of political violence.
In the past year, we've seen assassinations and assassination attempts against a Republican presidential candidate, Democratic legislators, and a conservative activist.
One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved.
That's a different question.
Arguing and debating on campus. Fighting for the gospel.
You're thinking way too simple about this. You got to go deeper.
Truth. In front of a big crowd, and then he blinked. He blinked. And saw his Savior in paradise.
Even as he had all of these positions, many of them seen as controversial on different issues, he had a huge galaxy of support on America's right.
When you stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence.
CBS News presents A Town Hall with Erika Kirk.
Good evening. I'm Barry Weiss, editor-in-chief of CBS News, and I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let me tell you why we're here. If you're watching this or you're sitting here in this room with me, you know what I know, which is that we live in a very divided country, a country where many people feel that they can't speak across the political divide. Sometimes they feel they can't even speak across their own kitchen table. And one of the goals of the new CBS News is to change that. And this town hall is just the beginning. This is going to be the first of many conversations and debates on CBS News about the things that matter most, which are often the hardest to talk about. I can make one promise to you, and it's this. You will not agree with everything you hear tonight or in any of these other broadcasts. And that is exactly the point. Because the premise of a democracy is that we persuade each other with words and not violence. And that the only way to get to the truth is by talking to one another. And that brings me right to tonight's guest, Erika Kirk. 3 months ago, Erika Kirk's husband, Charlie, was assassinated on a college campus in Utah. To some, Charlie Kirk was controversial. To others, he was heroic. What is indisputable is that he transformed the American right in the 21st century. He did it through an organization called Turning Point USA, which he founded when he was only 18 years old. In the wake of Charlie's murder, Erika has now picked up his mantle. The mother of 2 young children, she is also now the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Now, Charlie's murder was not an isolated tragedy. And tonight in the audience, we have other victims of the political violence that's ripping through this country. We also have religious leaders, college students, young Christians, and others invited by CBS News. You're going to be hearing from some of them tonight. Okay, we have a lot to talk about. So Erika, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I was very grateful when you had reached out because it was an opportunity to be able to have a conversation that Charlie always enjoyed, being able to have dialogue on both sides so people could really hear everything that's going on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for making the time. There's so many subjects I want to cover. I want to begin with the hours and days after your husband was murdered.
Yes.
You got up in his podcast studio where he broadcasted from for many hours every day.
Yeah.
And you said this. You said, you have no idea what you have just unleashed. What did you mean by that?
Let me give you a little background of that day. We get home. The team goes to dinner. I'm laying in my daughter's bed and I can't sleep. It took me months to even walk into my bedroom. I'm laying in my daughter's bed. I can't sleep. I grab my phone and I start typing out it. And those are my words. That morning, the team reached out to me and said, they think they got the guy. You should probably say thank you to the authorities and just make a statement. I said, okay. I wasn't afraid. They said, let's go to the office and let's discuss. We're at the office and they say, do you want to go live? Or we can easily, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. We can easily pre-record this. I said, absolutely not. My husband always went live. I have nothing to hide. We're fully transparent. What you see is what you get. If I start breaking down on live TV, I break down on live TV. My husband was assassinated. He didn't die in a car accident. So we go live. I write all of my own speeches. And when I said that, that is the Holy Spirit that is unleashed. That is a revival that's unleashed. That's not meant for call to violence. That's meant for people to understand that the Lord is moving in ways we have no idea. And God is going to use something so tragic to wake people up to realize that our life is short. He only lived 31 years. 31 years. And so, yes, you have no idea what has been unleashed. But I will promise until my last breath that I will let the Lord use me in ways that he only can to bring glory to him and to the kingdom. And it has been unbelievably powerful. And it's just the beginning.
Erika, one of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us. My husband did something very simple. He talked to people. You're going to be murdered for talking to people. He didn't go after people. He went after your ideas. And if you think it's okay to murder someone because you think they had it coming for them because they took the time to have people come to the front of the line if they didn't agree with you, and you think it's okay because you don't like what they say or how they say it, that they should be murdered and you're enjoying it and you're rejoicing in that, that is evil. Evil. Excuse me.
As you know, and as I know, one of the ideas that has gained a lot of traction among young people, especially in this country, Erika, is, and this leads them to this kind of justification, is the idea that words themselves are violence. And that brings us tonight to our first audience question. It comes from Angel Eduardo. Angel is a senior writer and editor for the civil libertarian group, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, and he writes passionately about issues of free speech. Angel.
Thank you, Barry. Excuse me. Erika, my condolences. A recent survey that we took after Charlie's assassination found that 90% of undergraduates believe to some extent that words can be violence. Another FIRE survey that we took earlier also found that 1/3 of surveyed students believe that using violence to stop disfavored speech can be acceptable, at least in rare cases. What's your response to those numbers? And what would you say to those students in particular?
Well, for the people who say that my husband might have incited violence, I know that was not your question, but I'm going to put a squash on it before anyone else can attach to that. My husband never incited violence. He never once said, go after them because they're saying X, Y, Z and they deserve to die. My husband never once said that, and he never would. What did he say? Come to the front of the line. I'll put my mic down. Tell me why you believe that. Well, that's interesting. I never thought of that. But have you thought of this? People heckling, laughing at them. Stop. It took a lot of courage for them to come up here. Stop doing that. He gave them a microphone. He didn't take away a moment for them to speak back. He gave them a microphone. And what they do, they gave him a bullet in the neck. Totally different. But you have secular revolutionaries that want to come out and say, you can't say that, and I'm going to stop you from saying it. I'm going to. Why? You don't have a conversation. Something as simple as a conversation. And this is what is so fascinating to me. My husband knew that something as simple as having a conversation could change the world. So simple. That is an ancient thing. Come and sit down and have coffee with me. Why do you believe what you believe? 80s and 90s, they were doing this in Congress, then going to have a Subway afterwards. Why don't we do that anymore? Instead, it's violence. Usually one-sided. I'm not going to go there. But you know what's so interesting about my husband's book, the last book he will ever write? It could have been about politics. It could have been about football. It could have been about anything. He was multidimensional. It literally says, stop in the name of God. Stop. Stop the violence. Stop the hate. Have a conversation. Stop. And what he knew in that book was not just so much stop that, take a minute to get off of your phone and realize that we are all human, operating on this broken planet, all sinful, no one's perfect, and we're not getting out of here alive. But what he knew in that book was the balancing factor of communication. You cannot communicate with someone if you're not at peace with yourself. So he went on campus talking to a kid. They're screaming at him, screaming. Does he scream back? Not once. He sits there. And you know what he's thinking? It's in that book. Maybe you need to take a few hours. Get off your phone. Go for a walk in nature. Go sit and have a coffee. Go and tell your mother you love her. Go do something that is beautiful and healing instead of trying to tear something down that you did not build. That's my thought on that.
We're going to talk about the book in a little bit, but I want to pick up on a theme that you've now hit on twice, which is the idea that the black squares that we all have in our pocket, our phones, that they are doing something to us collectively, that they are dehumanizing us. Later, we'll talk about the conspiracies that are spreading right now on those platforms about who killed your husband. What do you recommend to people sitting in this room? What are your practices to disconnect, to reconnect by disconnecting?
Well, like my husband, I took all of it off my phone.
All social media off your phone?
I don't have it on my phone. I have a team that helps run it. I really, everyone has an opinion about me. I could care less. You know what I care about? I care about what my daughter says about me and her running up into my arms and loving on me. That's what I care about.
One of the things that has happened over the 3 months since Charlie was murdered is that people have gone through the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of hours of words he produced. He said more in 31 years than most people will say in a lifetime. And I want to read a few that have captured the most attention, especially on the political left, okay?
Yeah.
Some gun deaths were, quote, unfortunately worth it to preserve the Second Amendment, he said. Acknowledging that he wishes he didn't feel this way, he said, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He said the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Now, I realize that all of those quotes come from longer conversations that he had on his show.
Correct.
But he did say those things. And Charlie is being memorialized by many people as a person who promoted civil discourse, as a person who said, come to the front of the line, let's have a civil conversation. How do you square that with the statements I just read?
I would love for everyone to be able to watch the full and entire clip of what he said. Charlie didn't care what skin color you were. He didn't care what religion you were. He loved excellence. He loved knowing that people, his favorite word was earn. He loved knowing that people worked hard to earn what they got. He worked so hard to build Turning Point USA. The first statement you meant about guns and shooting, I have no idea the context of that, and I have no idea that whole, there's a lot more there than just that one little sentence. My husband is not to be deteriorated to 2 sentences. He's not. He is a thought leader, and he was brilliant of a man. So that's fine if you want to take words out of his mouth or out of context without the whole thing in perspective. But that's the problem.
Does it bother you that people are picking out those statements and drawing an entire picture of who he was?
Again, that's the problem. You're not having a conversation. You're having a 15-second clip on the internet to define your thought of who someone is instead of taking the time to educate yourself on truly who that person is, what they thought, because why? They challenged you to think a little different. Again, my husband was an amazing man. We're human. But I do not once, for 1 second, think he was anything else than exceptional.
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity, and I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple message: hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that Turning Point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
I appreciate your question. You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people? This is so much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person. This starts at the home, okay? This starts with family. This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light. What you consume and what you absorb from the outside world will manifest itself. No, I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror when you become a father, when you become a mother. How are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part.
Okay, let me pause right here because I don't get into the politics of it all, but I don't agree with Trump or anyone else saying hang him. Just like I didn't agree with people saying hang Mike Pence on January 6th, I will never agree to anyone saying hang them. It's that simple. Bottom line, nobody should be saying that. If you have the ability to will power, especially the power of the President of the United States, you do not put in any message, hang them. That is not what we're about. We have a justice system. These people will be entitled to due process. And that is what he asked. Would you condemn it? The answer should have been yes. I would never agree to anyone saying hang them. I don't believe Donald Trump's mother is alive. And Donald Trump, last time I checked, was well over 70 years old. Even if his mother was still here, it is not her duty to still teach her 70-something-year-old son not to say hang them. He shouldn't have said it. The end. No one would appreciate that coming out of Joe Biden's mouth or Barack Obama's mouth or any other president you can name. Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan. No one would appreciate that coming out of any president's mouth, period. You don't say hang them. You just don't. And none of these presidents pay my bills. That's the beauty of being non-political, where you don't take one side or the other. It's the essence of free speech. You're ordering for people to have a public execution to be hung. For what? An accusation is not a matter of a fact. And they would have to have due process. Evidence would have to be presented. That's it. You can't wield the power of the FBI department when it's favorable to you. When it comes to your accusation against someone else, all of a sudden, our justice system doesn't exist, and these people would not be due to be granted the rights of due process again? Constitutional rights? No, he should not have said it. It's not that hard. And if he doesn't like her saying he shouldn't be saying that, then that goes to show his level of maturity. Presidents should not ever put in a text message or a post or anything else, hang them. Good grief. It's not that difficult.
I'm not in control of other people.
I'm going to sleep peacefully tonight. Trump doesn't pay my rent.
Ahead, a father whose daughter was murdered in cold blood because of who she was. He's here. Also, political violence and the conspiracy theories surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination. Stay with us.
Never before has conservatism, the ideas of freedom, liberty, American exceptionalism, been so popular on these college campuses.
Welcome back to our CBS News Town Hall with Erika Kirk. Bob Milgram is the father of Sarah Milgram. Sarah was fatally shot last May outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., alongside Yaron Lashinsky, her boyfriend.
I understand that's the punishment for treason, but they would have to be tried for treason. They would have due process. That's it. And they wouldn't be hung. We don't have hangings in the United States. It's not even a form of what we see as death penalty here. That's why I don't understand him saying that either. It's just not. We don't do hangings and lynchings in the United States anymore. That's not a form of capital punishment. If you're sentenced to death, it's by lethal injection. Some states still do, the electric chair, but it's not a hanging. It's still not a hanging. That can be factually proven. Therefore, he didn't need to say it. He could have said, perhaps an investigation, they will still be given due process. They don't have to go to court and have a judge and a jury rule on that. More of a reason why he should not have said hang them. It's not even a form of capital punishment. It doesn't make sense to even say those words. If a jury finds them guilty and says that they should be put to death, it will not be by hanging. It will be by lethal injection or the electric chair, depending on what state you're in. Why is that so hard to look up? Do we have to look up? A hanging is not a form of capital punishment. Research it. Send me the evidence on where we're still doing hangings as a form of capital punishment in the United States of America. Firing squad is not hanging. It's not a hanging. Hang them. Hang them. 2 words. Very simple. Hang them. Hang them. It's not a form of capital punishment. I didn't say firing squad. That's not what it said. Hang them is what it said. That is not a form of capital punishment in the U.S. That's what was asked. I don't care about history. I care about what's going on now. Why is he still saying that now? It's not what's happening now. These people aren't military. Got it. I'm like, I'm not talking about history. Didn't he just send his post in this year? in the year of our Lord 2025. Jesus Christ.
Sarah was just 26 years old when she was killed. Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Barry. Hello, Erica. Just as our family could not anticipate the pain we've been going through following the murder of our daughter, Sarah, there is no way I can understand the pain that you and your children are going through as a result of Charlie's tragic death. Our daughter was killed because of anti-Semitism, hate against Jews, and hate against the Jewish homeland, Israel. We know about the growth of anti-Semitism on the left, including here in New York City, where the mayor-elect still will not condemn the phrase, globalize the intifada. What I want you to address is growing anti-Semitism on the right, including Holocaust denial, anti-Zionism, and the normalizing of centuries-old conspiracy theories about Jews. Will you here condemn the individuals spreading that hate and speak out clearly enough against anti-Semitism so we can prevent another tragedy?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm so sorry. You and I are a part of a very small club. Painful. But you're in good company, and I will pray for you. Sucks, doesn't it? Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel, Jewish people. It's awful. Awful. Anti-Semitism is...
Thank you, no reply.
What healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out? Hate in general. Nothing. Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor, how could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people? Why? Because you need to fulfill a conspiracy theory? I'm wrapped in, people say I'm...
Thank you, no reply, for posting that information. So you guys can see there what was said and done. There you go. Thank you, no reply.
I'm a part of conspiracy theories all the time. It's sick, and it needs to stop. We are human. No one is perfect. No Christian is perfect. No Jew is perfect. No Muslim is perfect. We are broken, sinful humans in need of a Lord and Savior. And that's why it is so important to give your life to the Lord. Because once you do that and you fully surrender to the Lord, you have no room in your heart for hate. And so, sir, I am so sorry what happened to your daughter. I pray that does not happen, and I pray that that is something that we can somehow extinguish in this world. But we are living in enemy-occupied territory. And every single day we need to guard ourselves, guard our minds, guard our heart. And the best way to do that is reading God's word. And you cannot separate the Old Testament from the New Testament. You cannot. You cannot.
Bob, do you want to ask a follow-up?
Is there anything specific that Turning Point can do to combat anti-Semitism?
Yeah, so we're all of our college campus and high school campuses, we have these conversations. And our students understand exactly my heart and Charlie's heart and the sentiment of everything I just said. We have Shabbat dinner happening at AmFest. We have individuals in our chapters who are Jewish. We have people that are going to be having booths. We have an exhibit hall at AmFest that are Jewish, that have Jewish organizations. The only way to combat evil, just like Charlie did, is with dialogue and not being afraid to do it. If you have these things that are being said, you need to counter it with the truth. And if you don't, there's a void and a vacuum. And so even though they're a small number, they get louder and louder. So we need to do our best, which we're doing our part. We're going to continue to do our part to make sure that the truth is always heard. We'll amplify it even more. And we're going to do the best we can, but we need the whole community. We need everyone in on that.
Bob, thank you so much. I want to talk about discernment.
Yes.
Okay. Being able to separate truth from lies, reality from unreality. A 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson has been arrested and charged with the murder of your husband. And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me and you were Charlie's handler and Israel killed Charlie.
Right.
Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon t-shirts, and this signifies that his killing was an elite airborne operation, whatever that means. They say that the rings on your fingers, which are
My kids'
your kids' initials,
my wedding band, the Medal of Freedom, my engagement ring.
but apparently they symbolize some kind of secret plot. There's also a new theory that Egyptian aircraft have been tracking you. What is going on? Why are there so many conspiracies spreading about what seems to be a pretty open and shut case?
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips.
Thank you.
Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this. Egyptian planes.
Do you, let's just, no, do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all. And let me tell you this. Why in the world, why should we, prior to the trial, lay all of our hands and cards on the table for the defense team to see, to somehow then, I don't even know what they would.
And exactly. And I have to pause to give commentary because otherwise it's no different than the other video where I posted this full interview without commentary. So if you don't want to hear my commentary, have a great day. But this is going back to the 3 to 4 months where Candace is talking about, oh, I'm going to find out who the real shooter is, the real killer is. It's my life's mission to find out who assassinated Charlie Kirk. Okay, so it's been 3 months. Who's the killer? Perhaps she's given a name and a photo and we missed it. 1, 2, no one owes Candace Owens anything at all. 3, if she doesn't trust the feds, she shouldn't want to even know what they have. She should not want to talk to them. For her to make that demand, they should be wanting to call me and talk to me. I thought we'd be able to do this investigation together. First of all, Candace is not a licensed or certified investigator, period. Not to handle a murder investigation. If I say I'm researching information, I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to muddy the waters to put it out there just for the matter of integrity to say I'm investigating something, because naturally people are going to think you have the credentials and the skill set and the experience and training to investigate, because that should be taken very seriously. Asking questions is not investigation, it's asking questions. It's an inquisition or deposition even. Doesn't indicate you're investigating either, simply because you're asking questions. But Candace is still asking who killed Charlie Kirk. Why? She's supposed to be the one answering that question, not asking it. That means her research should have been getting her evidence and information to lead to a killer, to a shooter. So why hasn't she told us who the shooter is by now? What the hell has she been doing for 3 months? And why does she need anything from an FBI she doesn't trust? Why would she want the evidence? Let me see if I can keep it as plain as possible for the people in the back that worship the ground Candace walks on. Why would you want any evidence or documentation from the FBI when you don't trust them? I would love to hear viable answers on that. If I don't trust McDonald's French fries, why would I go and buy and eat them? Why read information if you don't trust the source that it's coming from? I literally just asked that question 2 different ways and gave an example. If you don't trust that a floor is stable, why would you still walk on top of the floor? You don't trust that there's a bottom of a well, why jump in the well? I mean, I can ask this so many different ways. Why ask the FBI to work with you on anything if you don't trust the FBI? Why even want to be bothered with them? Can someone answer me that? Give me a viable answer here. If you don't trust the FBI, why do you want to talk to them? A sensible, viable answer on that. That's just a simple question. If I say I don't trust the IRS, why would I expect them to handle my taxes? I'm just throwing out an example. She doesn't trust the feds. And she said that. As a matter of fact, she said that and spoken on behalf of her cult. We don't trust the feds, because these pronouns she keeps using. So why would Candace Owens and the Candy Ass cult members want the feds to do anything? Give them information, to talk to them. Why? It's a question. Why? Why? You don't trust the feds. They don't like Kash Patel. Kash, Cash, I don't care. They said Patel. They don't like the FBI director because he's the FBI director and they don't trust the feds. They don't trust the FBI. So why want to talk to them? Who talks to people they don't trust like that? Who goes out their way to say they could be working with me? Why would you want them to? You don't trust them. Why? You don't need to talk to them. You don't talk to someone you don't trust, right? Wouldn't that be common sense? Common sense says, I'm not going to talk to the FBI, especially if she doesn't even have to, because she's not a part of this investigation. Candace Owens is irrelevant and insignificant regarding the investigation. They don't owe her anything. She's not a witness. She is irrelevant. So if she does not have to talk to them and she doesn't trust them, why would she want them to give her evidence that she's not going to trust or believe? She's not going to believe it. So why want it? Why desire it? Simple question. She doesn't trust what they give her. So why would she want to talk to the FBI? Exactly. It's a hypocrisy for me. Don't ask them to give you evidence if you don't trust it. It's just a formality. It's let me just get stuff from them so that I can go on my show and dog it out because I don't trust it either way. Then why take it in the first place? You know you're not going to trust it. It's that simple. She doesn't need to talk to the FBI to get evidence from them. She doesn't need to do any of that because she's already said, I don't trust them. I don't care about this investigation. She's already said it. Of course, the candy asses can't respond to that because, it's too much like admitting, you know what, that makes no sense. She shouldn't even be wanting to be bothered with them. She should want to do her own thing. At this point, she should be telling us who the killer is, right? Because that's what she's been doing with her unvetted tip lines. Tell us who the killer is. I told you all the candy asses come into this chat at their own peril. I don't give a damn how they feel or what they think. They come in their own peril. But logic is, they cult members don't use logic. Even the most basic, mundane questions you can ask them, I guess words are hard for them. So they will never admit it makes no sense that Candace Owens would want to reach out to the FBI or talk to them about a case that has nothing to do with her if she doesn't trust them either way. If she's not going to accept or believe anything they have to say, she would only be taking that evidence, and they will never give it to her, but she would only be taking anything they tell her for content, just to mock it, because she doesn't trust it. It would only be for content and for no other reason. She wants to invoke herself in this assassination investigation, this murder trial, when she doesn't care about it. She could see her ass out of it. She tried to force herself into a gag order, and there was never a gag order produced with her name on it. I dared the candy ass cult members to go ask their cult leader to produce this gag order she's saying she's going to violate. They weren't smart enough to do that. Trust me, when I say I don't care about how cult members think, I don't. They weren't smart enough to go and ask her, can you produce this gag order you're talking about violating? Because it didn't exist. She tried to invoke herself into a protection order that had nothing to do with her. That is how desperate she is to try to be a part of this. And she's mad because they're rejecting her and her idiocy and her cult following, because no one owes them anything. I told you, enter my chat at your own peril.
Would do with it. But what I will say, and I want to get on the Egyptian plane thing, take a flight on that for a second. What I will say is what I'm worried about, and I'm fascinated, just from a legal standpoint, to see how the United Healthcare trials pans out. And I say that because this is the first time where we are seeing the implications.
You're talking about Luigi Mangione.
Correct. I prefer never to say any of their names. They do not even deserve the ounce of oxygen and breath out of my body. But what I mean is it's fascinating to see how social media will impact that court case, just how it might impact mine.
Are you nervous he's not going to get a fair trial?
I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case,
that's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone.
Yes.
That's how mainstream they become. Okay.
Egyptian planes.
You want to talk about Egyptian planes?
Okay. I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I'd travel, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those dates that they've.
But you even said you need to.
No, but this is, yeah, but I do on that one. Only because from a humor standpoint, I intentionally, when I was pregnant, hid. Not because I was embarrassed, not because I didn't want anyone. Yes, we did keep it very private, but because it was a moment very sacred. I was growing a human inside of me, my baby. The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And when you are growing a beautiful child in you, I don't want to be around it. I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I'm wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No, I'm not. So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date.
Candace, they're laughing at you in that town hall. They're laughing at you, and your cult followers. They're laughing at you about these dumb planes that did not shoot. The planes didn't shoot Charlie Kirk. Did anyone see any firepower coming out of an Egyptian plane? I know it was only one shot, and people still, want to see him talk about bullets and stuff when they don't read up about the various grains of bullets, various grains of the 30-06 bullet. If you want to know, I can post up some information in the chat on that. I have a couple supporters, Luxters, that are very well educated in guns and bullets, and they can tell you about the various grains that you can purchase for a 30-06 bullet. And you still have these cult members saying they didn't say anything about the gun and the bullet. Well, you got to read the indictment. That's where reading becomes fundamental. But unless any firepower came from those Egyptian planes, why do we care about those two dumb planes? She won't even tell us who's on the planes. Then she lied and said a transponder was cut off, and then some random person sent an email saying they could see it, when you can't see that with the naked eye on the plane. We looked this information up and researched it in real time. So the fact that they're all laughing about these Egyptian planes is exactly what Candace and her dumb cult following get. It's what you get. You should be laughed at for failing to read, because you just can't make this stuff up. Some real mortal can see a transponder cut off on the plane that they're not on, they're not the pilot of, and they're not in ATC. You can't make this up. Unless the planes lowered a gun and shot Charlie Kirk, why do we care about the Egyptian planes? Unless the passenger on the plane got off, went to the campus, shot Charlie Kirk, got back on the plane, and flew away, why do we care about these stupid planes? She doesn't care about these planes. They're all laughing at her. They're laughing at Candace Owens, rightfully so.
I have a photo in my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions. So game on.
The podcaster
Game
Candace
on.
Owens, okay? At one
I
time,
gotta go back
a
and hear
friend
that
of
again.
Charlie's. At one time,
That's how we do in the Lady Luck Club. If you don't like it,
we did keep it very private. But it's because it was a moment very sacred. I was
Game
growing
on.
a human inside of me, my baby. The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah,
are
they get
growing
their
a beautiful child in you, I don't want to be around it. I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No, I'm not. So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date. I have a photo in my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions. So game on.
she said, help, I wasn't even there to be on no plane. I was in a hospital having contractions because I'm pregnant by the man you really want. Candace Owens is so jealous and envious of Erika Kirk. It's not even funny. It's pathetic. You know, I don't want to have to worry about a basic instinct type of action happening because Candace done snapped and she forgot George Farmer is her husband and she's got 4 kids with this man. You can't make this up. Boys Club has not told his wife to make a sandwich yet.
the podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend
There
of
you go.
Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Kick rocks.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay. The next question comes from a person who may be familiar to you, Erika, because Charlie interviewed him for his show last August. Rob Henderson, to you.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you, Erika. During that discussion with Charlie, neither of us knew that was going to be the last long-form interview he would ever conduct, because his life was cut short by the actions of a very disturbed young man. As someone who admired Charlie's ability to offer young people a productive and optimistic path, I wanted to ask, how should the conservative movement think about cultivating leaders and role models for young men? And how can it continue offering them a constructive alternative to the toxic currents Charlie so astutely criticized?
It's a great question. First of all, your interview was amazing. It's one of my favorite ones to look back on. Charlie connected with you very well. And I can always tell when he does on his show. I've always watched his show. And I could always tell because his questions and his engagement would shift. And he always loved that conversation with you. As the CEO of Turning Point USA, it is my responsibility to make sure that our youth is in good hands. Our chapter leaders are amazing. And there's some leaders within those groups you guys have not even seen or heard about yet, but you will one day, and you'll be blown away because they are amazing kids. We had 2 of them at our gala event this weekend, and they spoke in front of our donors. It was the first time I ever met them. Phenomenal kids. Not only are they smart, they have a heart. Not only do they have a heart, they can understand and see the Gen Z landscape in a way that we can't. And from a peer-to-peer communication level, they're phenomenal. So I personally, having a front row seat to the rising generation, the courageous generation, they're amazing. Yes, there are bad apples. Millennials, we got them too. So do the baby boomers. So does Gen X. No one's escaping the bad apples. It's just the batch. But it is our responsibility, my responsibility, our team's responsibility to make sure that our chapters are cultivating those leaders So when they leave high school and they decide not to go to college, they're in the workforce being incredible people and incredible leaders. They might not be influencers. Not everyone's meant to. Everyone plays a very specific role. But they'll be someone in something very important, and they'll plant seeds. And that's all you have to do is plant the seed. And then let truth grow from there. But thank you again for the time that you spent with my husband on that final conversation. It meant a lot to him. It means a lot to me.
So let me ask you all this, because this has to be asked. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that the CEO is responsible for what happens with the company. I got to start simple because I'm going to ask another question after this. 1 in the chat if you believe that the CEO is responsible for whatever happens with the company. The ultimate responsibility falls upon the CEO. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't believe that the CEO is responsible for whatever happens with the company. 1 or 2. Don't have to give a long soliloquy and none of that. 1 or 2. 1 in the chat. You believe that the CEO is responsible for what happens with their company. Well, let's go with what CEO of Turning Point. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that the CEO of Turning Point is responsible for what happens with Turning Point. Just 1 or 2. 1 or 2. 1 or 2. 1 or 2. If you say 2, if you say I don't believe that the CEO is responsible for whatever happens with their company, that's fine. Just put a 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Okay. So if you believe that the CEO is responsible for whatever happens with their company, why is it? No, let me ask this. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that the CEO has the right to defend her company, the employees, the board. If they're responsible for whatever happens with the company, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that they have the right to defend their company, protect their company, protect their employees, protect their donors. So if they're responsible, do they also have the right to defend and protect their company and their employees? We're not saying if they did anything right or wrong, just if they have the right to protect and defend their company. We're keeping it simple. 1 in the chat if you believe they have the right to protect and defend their company. Okay. So why would Candace get upset that the CEO of Turning Point USA will come out and say, this is my family, this is my company, these are my people, please stop? If she has the right to, if she's responsible for whatever happens, and she has the right to defend and protect Turning Point USA, then why is, and I'm anyone getting upset when she says, this is my family, my company, my employees here, please stop? Why not just leave them alone? You don't like what they're doing? You don't like Erika Kirk? She's still the CEO. She's responsible for what happens. She has the right to defend and protect. If you don't like what she's doing, for whatever reason, why not just leave her alone? Why not just leave her alone? Why not just leave her alone? You don't have to live with her. You don't have to pay her bills. You don't have to pay her staff. Just leave her alone. Leave her alone. Why be bothered with it? Why dog her out? Just leave her alone, right? She's responsible for whatever happens. So if the IRS decides they want to look into the finances of Turning Point USA and its subsidiaries, her being the CEO, many of you agree, she will be responsible for whatever happens. But if someone is saying that they're under IRS investigation and that is completely false, the IRS confirms it, and you believe that she has the right to defend and protect her company against a flagrant lie that was debunked by the IRS, then why be bothered with her if you don't like her? She's doing what a CEO does. She's taking responsibility. They made sure that the tax documents were filed in time, and I'm using this as an example. She also defended and protected Turning Point when people were lying and saying they were under IRS investigation, when the IRS came out and said, no, there's no investigation. Plus, there would be documents made available to the public. Not everything, but at least an actual investigation and inquiry would be available to the public. So, if she has the right to defend and protect because she's responsible for what occurs, then why keep attacking her with something like that that has been debunked? They're still hiding something. What is it? What does it matter to you? Is Turning Point USA paying your bills? Like, I don't get the attacks. She's taking responsibility. She has the right to defend and protect. Why get upset when she does that? Why get upset when she does that? If you don't like her, you don't like Turning Point, why is she still getting death threats like this? Kidnapping threats for her and her children? Why not just leave her alone? Can any of the Candy Ass cult members go ask Candace that? Can you ask her why are you bothering with Erika Kirk and Turning Point? If your only motive here was to investigate or research or whatever the assassination of Charlie Kirk, why are you talking about anything and everything else except telling us who the shooter is? I'm just trying to figure out why can't Candace Owens, she said her life's mission is to find out who assassinated Charlie Kirk. We still don't have a name or a photo. Why can't she just focus on that? Why does she have to go after all these people at Turning Point, Erika Kirk? Why even be bothered with that? She has no evidence to prove that any of them shot him. None. So why be bothered with them? Leave them alone. Why harass them? Why allow them to fill your mind at any point in the 24 hours of the day? Just leave them alone. Candace should be telling us who the alternative shooter is, right? She doesn't believe it's Tyler Robinson. Then Candace Owens, tell us who the shooter is. That does not have to involve Erika Kirk because you have no evidence to prove she did it. You have no evidence to prove that anyone else at Turning Point did it. Tell us who pulled the trigger on the gun. That's it. That's all she said she was going to do. And that's all people are asking her to do, I guess, or expecting her to do based on what she said she would do. Not sit here and lambast Turning Point and Erika Kirk. Leave them alone and tell us who the shooter is. Hit the like button.
Be able to have that to show my babies one day.
Thanks, Rob. Coming up, should women focus on their careers or building their families? We'll ask Erika Kirk what she believes as a mom and now as a CEO. Welcome back. Erika, Charlie's last book, it wasn't about politics.
I don't care if she loses a follower. I don't care if she gains one. That's irrelevant to me. I don't care. That's simple-minded. I've never cared. That's why I don't understand why cult members keep coming over here confirming she's doing these things for likes, views, money, and clicks. This has nothing to do with a following. She could just leave them alone. I don't care if she loses a follower or not. It's a cult. I don't care if she loses a cult member. People in a cult have to come out of a cult on their own anyway. I'm not here to change the minds of anyone. That's never been my goal. I don't care if you continue to worship the ground she walks on, if you want to be a cult. I don't care. You don't pay my bills, so I don't care about that. I put out facts and information and the truth. Candace said she was going to tell us who assassinated Charlie Kirk. Why can't the cult members hold her to that? That's it. That has nothing to do with her gaining or losing anything. I don't want cult members over. I really don't. So even if you love her cult, you just go to another cult. I don't really want them over here. Not to sit here and idolize and worship anyone. Like people who enjoy reading and they still believe that facts are facts and laws are laws. Cult members are exhausting. You can't make this up. They're exhausting because they don't want to tap into a reality where things make sense. They don't even want to use logic and common sense. I don't care about the views, her views, subs. That's what she cares about. And that's what comments like this, it reinforces the fact that Candace Owens truly cares about views, likes, subs, clicks, and money. You're literally debunking her with this nonsense. And the last time I checked, I mean, if you're a cult member, you wouldn't want to speak against the cult, right? You would not want to show dissent. Cult members, they go out and they prove Candace wrong every time they post comments like this. It's funny to me.
Politics, it wasn't about policy. It was about the Jewish Sabbath, which he kept for 25 hours, starting sundown on Friday night through sundown on Saturday night. What made Charlie so passionate about this subject?
He was on the verge of burnout. And he thought to himself, what can I be doing? And he always loved the 10 Commandments. And then he saw it, honoring the Sabbath. And he realized that if you don't, this one commandment, this one, if you don't honor it, you're the one who misses out on the gift, not God.
Are you keeping it?
I'm trying my best.
Is it helping?
It is. I feel close to him. I break it apart though. So instead of a full 24 straight, I'll break it apart only because my mom's sick and I need to be available because I'm her medical power of attorney. So I need to be available if something happens. And so I make it what works for me. But that's what was so beautiful about that. Charlie wasn't legalistic about it. He's like, make it your own.
Erika, you have made a lot of comments that a lot of people have noticed about women, suggesting, you know this, right? Suggesting that women should get married young, that they should have children young, that they should prioritize family over their careers. And at the same time, you are now doing both. You now have 2 young children, I think both under the age of 3. And you're the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Swear that for us. Some people look at you and say, you know, she's trying to make it a binary choice. You can be the trad wife or the girl boss, but look at her. She's having both. What do you say to them?
Right. Well, I didn't ask for this. Obviously it's a blessing that I view it as a blessing. It's a duty to my husband. But I was very happy being a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with being a mother. There's actually more beautiful and emotional and powerful job title, if you will, being a mother. And for me, I experienced what it was like living in New York, living that boss babe culture. But when I met Charlie and we had our babies, I was in it. That was all hands on deck. I would take that world in a heartbeat. Always. But you know what? There was never any daylight between Charlie and I, and his mission was my mission.
Don't tell my moms what to do. My moms have allowed free speech to flow. And I always say this because, you know, the cult members, they keep copying and pasting the same comments over. That's why a lot of them I don't even post up because it's repetitive. They're not thinking outside the box. They say the same old thing. If my mom's is saying to keep it civil and respectful, do that. Because just like you think you have the right to free speech, we have the right to not read your BS. You see how that goes? Communication is a two-way street. Who said we're forced to read your nonsense? No one. But if you can't keep it respectful on my platform where I'm the queen of this, then you could, when Candace goes live tomorrow, you can rip a whole new hole in the ozone layer and just let it all out. Because I know the cult members gotta release it somewhere. They gotta go back to their safe space at some point where they can just keep recycling and copying and pasting comments so they can feel important again and feel loved. So I understand that she hasn't been online for 2 or 3 days and you guys are just having this Candace Owens withdrawal. Your cult leader has not spoken to you and given you marching orders in a few days. It's okay. But don't ever think that we're obligated to read your nonsense simply because you're exercising free speech. We have the right to not see it. That's how that works here. So if it's something that's inappropriate, if she's saying to calm down and be respectful, then do that. This is what baffles me. You sit here and say you care about Charlie Kirk because Candace claims she does when she really doesn't. And he talked about free speech. He talked about having communication. And the Candy ass cult members don't do that. They just copy and paste and say the same thing over and over, or they're using all caps, exclamation points. They're yelling. They give out racial slurs and derogatory statements. That's not normal communication here. You're not having a dialogue. You're not asking questions. And it's not even thought-provoking. You say whatever and then say, oh, you should just read my comments because it's free speech. No, I don't have to read it. That's not how that works. I've been posting up comments from anybody that's respectful and at least something different. But don't ever think that my mods have to allow you to say whatever you want. They're telling you to be civil and respectful and expect us to just read it. No. You're in my chat. That's being recorded. That's why I said the candy asses come here at their own peril. It's funny how you think you can dictate my chat and then want to talk about free speech. My moms have instructed to be civil and respectful. Do that. You know, these are things that Candace won't say about her cult members. She doesn't care about them. I care about my mods over here. Don't attack my mods.
So stepping into this role is not so much a job title. This is not a 9-to-5 for me. This is something that I'm very passionate about because it's still a remaining breathing version of my husband, this Turning Point USA. So this organization is not just a company to me. And the staff and employees are not staff and employees, they're family. And so for me, it's a lot different and a lot deeper than a career. This is very personal. But yes, it is hard. But at the same day, it takes a village. And I have one heck of a village.
We have a woman here that has a question perfectly calibrated to this part of our conversation. And I want to hand it over to Isabella Reggi.
Thank you. And Erika, you and your family are in my prayers.
Thank you.
I'm a 26-year-old Christian woman living in New York City. I would like to stay here long term, but I wonder whether it's sustainable. Do you believe there's a place for women like myself in modern cities who care about having a career, but also marrying a like-minded Christian conservative man?
Well, yeah. So it just depends on where you're looking. You know, if you're on the apps, I don't know if you're on the apps. I don't know if... I'm not going to ask you your personal journey. But what I will say is when I lived out here, I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than go, I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. So it goes twofold here. So if you're expecting to marry someone that I was blessed with, like a Charlie, you have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie. Are you going to church? Are you going to Bible study? Did you tell your pastor that you are ready for the Lord to bring into your life the man that you've been praying for? You yourself need to be prepared for that man, and only you will know how to do that. Does that mean staying out and going out with the girls? I'm not saying you sit on your couch and all of a sudden he's going to knock on your door and be like, honey, let's rendezvous. Like, that's not how it happens. It's not. Granted,
I've seen this same comment 4 times from 3 different profiles. That's what I mean. I'm not even, I guess it's the listening skills and the reading comprehension that lacks. Why copy and paste the same thing? I'm just asking for a little creativity here. I've read the same comment 3 or 4 times from 2 or 3 different profiles. Good grief. They can't even pretend like they're not thinking like a cult member. You're saying the same exact thing as the other people that have said the same question and gave the same comment. Any questions you want to ask about what you're hearing from this town hall? I'm not obligated to read your comments. You don't run this. It's that simple. Any questions about what's being said at this town hall? They literally copy and paste the same crap. It's unbelievable. Be creative. Be yourself. If you know how to do that, be original and be yourself.
my situation was a little different. I went to it.
You went to a job interview.
Literally. So this is how good the Lord is. He
It
knew
is laughable.
that because I was not dating in New York City, he knew that in order for me to know that that was my man, he had to blanket Charlie as a job interview. Because if that went in, no joke, if he came to me and said, hey, let's go on a date to Bill's Burgers, I'd be like, I am so sorry. Thank you, but no, we're not doing this. That was my mindset. I was not in that headspace. I just wasn't. But God will work in incredible ways when you surrender the pen for him to write your love story. And when you know that, look, if I remain in the jet stream of God's will, he will provide for me in ways I cannot even imagine. And that is my prayer for you. My prayer for you is to remain open and to remain prayerful and to let people around you know, old school style, I'm ready and I'm looking to get married and having a family. You can always have your career. Being able to have a family truly is a very limited, short window. You can start your career. If you have people and it's amazing business, have other people run it. You can still manage it. You can still pour into it, but you have your babies. And then once your babies are grown and the nest is empty, go back to your career. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't have a career, you have your babies, the Lord's going to inspire something inside of you that you're like, you know what? There's a problem. I have a solution. How many baby companies have been born out of moms? You know, like the little carrier seat or a stroller or
We live for that carrier.
Right. 100%. I'm not trying to plug them for like something. So I'm just trying not to even say the name, but you understand my sentiment is that there's something really special and beautiful about making sure that you are the woman that your future husband deserves and vice versa. Do not settle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isabella.
Okay, well, she said that you should start your family first. So here's my disagreement with that. You should start a family when you're ready, when you have yourself stable and situated. There's nothing wrong with having a family young. You just need to be mature enough to handle it. The problem is you got people out here that's running out having kids and they can't even afford them. They don't even make enough money to take care of themselves. And then they bring children into the situation. And then it's just a struggle. And then whatever they were wanting to do or trying to do, now they can't do because they just have to focus on working and making money just to stay above water and pay bills. So there is a downfall to when you're rushing into something too fast and too quick. And I understand what Erika Kirk is saying about, okay, you want to have kids when you're still able to have them and run around, play with them, physically be able to give birth where it's not when it's not a drain on your body. But the thing is that everybody doesn't marry someone that's got, a whole company going and making a lot of money. Or they're pretty wealthier. They're comfortable at least to where they can be a stay-at-home mom. Some households have to have 2 working adults. And then depending on how much your kids eat, the children may have to get little summer jobs to help buy clothes, shoes, or something like that, or at least groceries. You have people who have 2 parents working, still trying to manage. Because maybe they should have taken a couple more years, went to school, or got a trade so that they can establish a career. A career is something that doesn't come overnight. You can get blessed with an idea and it just goes viral. But that's not realistic in every family household. I'm not attacking Erika Kirk. I'm just giving my opinion on that. I don't agree you should just do it simply because you're young. Do it because you're ready. God also has the ability to bless you at 30, 35, 40 years old to have a family and have a child too. And it's still not too late. You still have time. So the idea that you need to do this young, I don't think that should be the sentiment. It should be when you're ready and when you're stable. If you do it too fast and you're not ready or stable, you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling. And why should you bring kids into a struggling marriage, into a struggling household like that, when you could have waited, got a career, got some stability going? And if you don't have, a husband bringing in 6-7 figures every year, then understand you have to do what's best for you and your husband or your wife. Y'all have to do what's best for your household. So if both people have to have jobs, you're going to have to get yourself stable first. Don't bring kids into a situation where you're going to be more frustrated if you miss time off work because you got to take them to the doctor's office or you got to go to that PTA meeting. Because that's the time and attention and energy it takes to raise kids. You got to take time. You're not going to get any sleep. For those who have not had kids yet, understand when you have children, you will not get a full 8 hours of sleep anymore. Be prepared to lose a lot of sleep. You're going to lose a lot of sleep. Even before the baby's born, you're going to lose a lot of sleep. Every pregnancy is different. Every birth is different. Every child is different. So don't have kids until you are ready to have kids. Even if you're married, you're young, you're energetic, and you're doing well financially, make sure you have at least 3 to 6 months of money saved up for mortgage. Have a nest egg. Have those things in place. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. Please do not bring kids into a marriage, into a household, into a relationship, and you're not stable yourself. Don't do that. That is the worst thing you can do to that child. And then you won't have time for them because you're too busy working anyway. Don't do it unless you're ready and you're stable. That is wisdom. I understand what she's saying, but her situation is different. I think we can all agree to that. Her situation is very different. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have kids, don't rush it if you're not ready.
Up next, the emotional moment that Erika Kirk forgave her husband's alleged murderer. Stay with us.
I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
Erika, that moment that we just watched was unforgettable. I was one of millions of people across the world that watched you get up on that stage and forgive the man who murdered your husband. And I think a lot of people looked at it and thought, this is incomprehensible. It's almost baffling. And I want you to speak to those who are unable to understand, really, that act of grace. How is it possible that you can forgive the person that murdered your husband?
I'm not forgetting what he did. I'm not condoning what he did. What he did
proud
is
of
sick
it
and
too.
evil. So sick and evil. What I am doing is releasing myself from the enemy's hands, where he could have a foothold in me, and he could be able to just, like I said earlier, you have a choice. Am I going to take that moment? And I will never say anything I don't mean. I really prayed on that moment. That was a game time decision. I'll never say what I don't mean. But am I going to take that moment to say, rally the troops, burn the city down, march in the streets? Or am I going to take that moment and unleash something like we talked about, even greater, more powerful, and say, it's a revival? And let that unleash and let the Lord use it in ways that no one else could have ever imagined.
If you were to meet the man, I won't name him again, accused of murdering your husband, do you know what you would say to him?
Nothing.
You would say nothing.
I have nothing to say to you. Nothing.
Is there a difference, Erika, between forgiving someone in a religious and spiritual sense, but also wanting justice for them here on earth?
No, of course. But we serve a just God. And I rest easy in knowing that he's sovereign, but he's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
I want to bring in our final audience question for tonight. I want to turn it over to Joe Lavoie.
Hi, thank you. Your faith in this process has been inspiring, and that inspires this question. How are you able to trust God amidst unfair and immense suffering?
One of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Job. And what's so powerful about that book is that you read it and you go along and you say, how could bad things happen to good people? But what happens at the end of that book? God does restore. He does, even more so than Job had prior. But when did that happen? It happened when Job prayed for his friends. Even though they were against him, even though there was all this drama, he prayed for his friends. You can call them enemies. That's not saying, oh, Lord, my enemy is like, no. There's boldness in being able to say, Lord, do what only you can do. And the Lord restored what Job had lost. That's how.
We'll be right back. I want to thank Erika Kirk so much for joining me tonight. And I also want to thank our audience for participating in this town hall. CBS News is going to have many more conversations like this in the weeks and months ahead. So stay tuned. More town halls, more debates, more talking about the things that matter. I'm Barry Weiss here in New York. Good night.
Woo, that was it.
Tomorrow night, I'm happy to tell you.
So this is the interview that was done by Barry Weiss on CBS Mornings. I believe before the town hall. I haven't seen this yet, so we'll get into this. But so far, what do you all think about the town hall? I think the idea of a town hall is a good old fashioned way to have some of these political and public figures come out and engage with people and be able to answer questions. And whether you agree with everything or not is irrelevant. I wasn't disagreeing with Erika Kirk. I had my first son at 26. So, that's that. But I speak from experience when I say what I say. I wish I was a lot more prepared financially when I had my son at 26. But I still graduated from college, master's degree. I have a career. I mean, I'm blessed to have 2 channels as a content creator, independent, journalist. So I'm not saying that to say I'm disagreeing with her. I'm just saying that it is a matter of realism that goes into it. Because what if you meet someone or you marry someone that's not bringing in that high level income and you both have to work? So you have to ensure that when you do start having a family, you use wisdom when you do that. And I say that out of experience. Use wisdom. Bottom line. I got sick with my first pregnancy. I couldn't work. So that brought 2 incomes coming in the household from my husband at the time and I down to 1. And we weren't really prepared for that. I didn't know how my pregnancy was going to go. So when you're thinking about having a family, just think about all the aspects that goes with it. The pregnancies, some women get sick. I was so sick to the point where I couldn't work. I had hyperemesis gravidum. If you don't know what that is, it's a very severe form of nausea and vomiting. So I was out of work the entire pregnancy. Then had a C-section and then didn't get a job until my son was almost a year old. All of those things are unexpected, but you want to be as prepared as possible. So when you do have a family, use wisdom. Make sure you're prepared. I say this from experience, not to negate or to downgrade or to knock anything that Erika Kirk said. If I would have married someone that had 7 figures come in, it probably would have been a lot different. But because it did affect our household, it affect our finances. Sometimes those things happen. You don't plan for. Who plans to be sick the entire time they're pregnant? Some women are able to still work while they're pregnant. I wasn't. So all I'm saying is, if you don't have kids, just think about making sure you have a nest egg up just in case, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. We're all created differently. So everybody's pregnancies aren't going to be the same. You can have multiple kids. My pregnancy for my oldest son was totally different from my youngest son. It's like night and day. With him, I was able to work up to 8 months until the company closed, but wasn't sick at all. So just prepare for that and use wisdom. And it's sometimes good to draw that wisdom and listen to other experiences so that you're not limited in your thinking on how this is going to go when you start having kids. That's all I'm saying. And I have 2 beautiful boys that I love dearly. Both pregnancies were extraordinarily different. And I had kids starting at 26. I wish I would have waited a little bit longer. Some people want to start before that, but it's okay. And it turns out okay. All I'm saying is be prepared if you haven't. That's all. That's just my wisdom from my experience that I impart. So let's get to this. Like I said, I don't know what they discussed here, but we're going to get to this, and then we're going to get to Nick Brooks.
CBS News airs the first in a series of town halls and debates with public figures, starting with Erika Kirk. She, of course, is the widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot dead, assassinated just over 3 months ago. She has since taken over as CEO and chairwoman of his political youth organization, Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk's final book, which was already in process, Stop in the Name of God, was published this week and is a runaway bestseller. They cannot keep it in stock. The town hall was recorded this week in front of an invited audience of young Christians, prominent religious leaders, and victims of political violence. Here's an exclusive clip.
I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it.
So this interview.
But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
Incredible poise there. The town hall was moderated by CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss, who joins us now. Barry, welcome to CBS Mornings.
Thanks for having me. Really honored to be here.
The idea of the town halls, I know, is that in America there are tough conversations, and people often don't feel they can have them because they can't speak openly about certain topics and ideas. How does Erika Kirk fit into that town hall idea? Why'd you invite her to be first?
First of all, because she is now, as you just heard, the CEO and chairwoman of the most important conservative organization in the country. What Charlie Kirk built, agree with it, disagree with it, with Turning Point USA, is a powerhouse of an organization, and it will have so much to say and influence over the direction of the right, especially after Trump, whatever comes next. The other reason is that I think Erika Kirk is a victim of what could be a very, very disturbing version of America. In other words, her husband was speaking on a college campus. Whether you agreed with him or not, he was practicing the most fundamental of American rights. He was trying to persuade people with words. And then he got a bullet to his neck as he was speaking to someone that disagreed with him, someone, by the way, who was in the audience that night. In the days and weeks that followed, the number of people in this country, and not just lunatics on the internet hiding behind anonymous accounts, but prominent people
Yes, exactly.
justified his death.
I love how she put that. Lunatics hiding behind a keyboard. Oh my God. That's exactly what they are. Number of people in this country, not just, lunatics on the internet hiding behind anonymous accounts. Oh man, such true words never been spoken.
Justified his death with the idea that words are violence rather than violence being violence, I think signifies something quite alarming. The idea that he somehow had it coming because people disagreed with him. The second thing is that he was murdered 3 months ago. If you go on the internet, and frankly, it is leapt beyond the internet now into real life, and you talk to many seemingly sane people, they do not believe that the 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson that has been arrested and charged with his murder is the actual murderer.
Who did they think? You know what's so crazy? His parents turned him in. His parents turned him in. Erika Kirk, she just said in this clip that the parents should, raise the child up and teach them to have these morals and values to where you can have free speech and exchange ideas without it becoming something you're angry over someone else's words. So you're going to risk spending life in prison to possibly getting the death penalty over. Words that you can't control. Words we don't have to read either. But somehow incites people to get upset. And yet, these same people who sit here and talk about, oh, Charlie deserves so much better. We want to find out who his assassin is. Then they go out and they attack Erika Kirk and TPUSA for doing the same thing, expressing their free speech. That it's unbelievable. So his parents turned him in. Yep. He admitted to it. He hasn't given a plea yet. I don't know why, but he admitted to it. There's an affidavit. It's just the hypocrisy is unbelievable.
Yeah. They believe any number of theories. They believe that Erika Kirk was his Mossad handler and that he was killed by a foreign government. They believe that she was tracked by Egyptian planes. They believe that the rings on her hand are signs of Illuminati. The theories themselves are absurd. What matters is that because she speaks...
I thought the Illuminati was a pyramid.
About this in the interview. The brain rot that social media is allowing to spread, the way that it is detaching us from humanity, from our ability to talk to one another and our ability to discern the truth from just out and out lies is something that is incredibly important as a theme, I think.
That's what's
so
so
she was
scary.
able to speak to both of those things in a way that's incredibly compelling. The last thing I want to add, all of us and everyone watching will remember the moment that she got up on stage at his memorial and stood in front of that audience and said, I forgive the man.
That was my question, Barry. I was very struck by that in the moment that she did it. I always marvel at anybody who can do that when someone has blown up your life the way that this man apparently has done, the man who's accused in the case. I know you asked her about it. How did she say she was able to do that?
Well, she is a deeply religious Christian, and that's a theme that came across quite powerfully in the conversation. I'm not Christian, but bearing witness to something that in her is clearly very deeply held and sincere was quite powerful and powerful for everyone in the audience. I think the thing that was baffling for many of us that watched that, I mean, I remember watching it and thinking, I can't understand this. What does this mean? She was able to explain the distinction between forgiveness as a personal choice to almost let go of something, to not let it be this anvil around her, and forgiveness in the mode of her faith, and to make a distinction between that and her desire for justice, which is quite different. It doesn't mean that she forgives it doesn't mean that she does not want this alleged murderer
to be held accountable.
And I think that's the really, really important distinction.
So Barry, when I introduced you to the audience, you said something that was incredibly powerful. You said we have to get to a place in this country where we can have discussions with people we vehemently disagree with. Charlie Kirk was controversial in his life. Some of his critics called his organization racist, xenophobic, sexist, homophobic, which you asked Erika about. And I want to play a little bit of that exchange for our viewers.
One of the things that has happened over the 3 months since Charlie was murdered is that people have gone through the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of hours of words he produced. He said more in 31 years than most people will say in a lifetime.
Yes.
And I want to read a few that have captured the most attention, especially on the political left, okay?
Yeah.
Some gun deaths were, quote, unfortunately worth it to preserve the Second Amendment, he said. Acknowledging that he wishes he didn't feel this way, he said, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He said the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Now, I realize that all of those quotes come from longer conversations that he had on his show.
Correct.
But he did say those things. And Charlie is being memorialized by many people as a person who promoted civil discourse, as a person who said, come to the front of the line, let's have a civil conversation. How do you square that with the statements I just read?
I would love for everyone to be able to watch the full and entire clip of what he said. Charlie didn't care what skin color you were. He didn't care what religion you were. He loved excellence. He loved knowing that people, his favorite word was earn. He loved knowing that people worked hard to earn what they got. He worked so hard to build Turning Point USA. The first statement you meant about guns and shooting, I have no idea the context of that, and I have no idea that whole, there's a lot more there than just that one little sentence. My husband is not to be deteriorated to 2 sentences. He's not. He is a thought leader, and he was brilliant of a man. So that's fine if you want to take words out of his mouth or out of context without the whole thing in perspective.
So when Erika Kirk says her husband was a thought leader and brilliant, the Candace Cole followers are saying, oh, she's being fake. When Candace Owens says he was a thought leader and brilliant, yes, he was. That was so true. They're using the same words. They're literally describing the same person and using the same descriptive terms. Why is it that it is true from one person and not true from the other? If they're referring to the same person and they're both saying that he was thoughtful and brilliant, how is it fake when one says it and the other says it is genuine? But they're describing the same person. They're both talking about Charlie Kirk. You know, the hypocrisy is so staggering to me.
But that's the problem.
And stupid. The hypocrisy is stupid.
Barry, what do you say to those who argue it's harmful to platform a guy like Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, and even his widow, even though she's grieving? Some critics have addressed that with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just fundamentally disagree with the idea that we shouldn't be able to speak across divides. That doesn't mean that there are not lines. The question, of course, is whether or not Charlie Kirk crossed those lines. And in my view, you hear me quote many of the controversial things he said. Needless to say, there are many things Charlie Kirk said in his life that I vehemently disagree with. But to me, that's not the point. The point is that we are walking into an abyss as a country if we accept the idea that words are violence, but violence, if directed at the right targets, is acceptable. I fundamentally reject that worldview. The entire point of our democracy, the whole premise of it, and as we're entering our 250th year, is that we solve our problems by persuasion. We solve our problems by talking to one another. We don't solve our problems by shooting one another in the neck, as happened that day at that Utah college. And so, to me, especially as we're living in a world where you can live next door to someone, and if you have different things on your social media feed, you can live in a different reality. And so the point of this conversation, even if it makes some people uncomfortable, even if they disagree with some of what they heard on stage, I disagreed with some of what I heard on stage. The point is that, like, that's the whole nature of the democratic process. And this conversation and this whole series that we're going to be announcing in the coming days, the point is to revive that in a moment where I think this country desperately needs it, more than ever.
And if you're watching the news on whatever channel you choose and you agree with everything you hear, you're doing it wrong. And second, if you're only getting those one lines as somehow a summary of a person's whole life or way of thinking, that's not true persuasion and that's not democracy. So for the fuller picture, Barry Weiss, thank you very much. I do hope people will watch that hour-long conversation.
There will be more. There will be more.
CBS News presents a town hall with Erika Kirk tomorrow night, 8, 7 Central here on CBS and stream.
So let me ask this, because they said something about Illuminati. Y'all see Erika Kirk wearing a ring that looked like this? So she's wearing a ring that looks like this? Because I had to Google this right quick. I was like, what ring is she wearing with Illuminati on it? Perhaps I missed that piece of jewelry. Is she wearing a ring that has this stuff on it? I want to see the photo of it. Send me the photo of the ring she's wearing that has this symbol on it with all this stuff in it. This is their so-called official website here for Illuminati. I want to see a ring that has this on it specifically. Every single thing on here. All these symbols, everything, because this is their symbol. I'm just saying. Send me a photo with that. Because this is the sign of the Illuminati. Her wearing a ring that has her initials or the kid's initial on it. How did it become this sign here? You see an M in the middle? Oh, God. I don't even see M on the symbol here. The letter M on the symbol. I mean, we're pointing out alphabets here. Oh, okay. There's a cursive M, but it's real small. The M is in the middle, right? Send me a photo of the ring if you see it. If this is it. Because we like evidence. We like proof. Email me the photo of her rings with this symbol on the ring that stands for Illuminati. Because people say these things and they probably don't even know what the symbol is or what it pertains. So if you've seen a ring on Erika Kirk's finger that looks just like this, send me the photo. Don't send me nothing else. I just want a photo of a ring that Erika Kirk wears that looks like this, the Illuminati symbol. This right here. Because I want to see that. I really want to see a ring with this symbol with all this stuff on it. If you're going to make the accusation, at least this is something that can be proven, right? You would be able to prove if she's wearing a ring with the Illuminati symbol on the ring. That's something that can be proven. That's not a theory. You can prove that. So send me the photo. I want an actual photo of her wearing a ring with this symbol on it. Because they're saying she wore a ring with the Illuminati symbol on it. Because for some reason, they make accusations and then, simple evidence can be presented to prove or debunk it. So I'm genuinely asking, send me a photo where you have seen a ring on Erika Kirk's finger that looks like this Illuminati symbol. Email it to me. All these little symbols over here, you got keys and a sun, something, and another key and something else. This is the whole thing here. I want to see a ring with this symbol. Not just the triangle, all this. All this is a part of it. Because you can't make this up. You can't make this up. Just email it to me. Lady Luck Club LLC at yahoo.com. They're saying that there's a ring Erika Kirk wears. I don't know if you're new here. They're saying that Erika Kirk is wearing a ring that has the Illuminati symbol on it. This symbol here. I'm asking for evidence of that. Because I'm getting several people saying, no, she's never worn a ring with all of this on it. But there are people that are claiming that she has worn a ring that has the Illuminati symbols on it. Well, that's something that can be researched. So I'm simply asking for a photo of a ring Erika Kirk is wearing in that town hall meeting, the town hall interview, where it has this symbol on it. This is the Illuminati symbol. I don't care about the fake crown. I want the picture of a ring with this symbol on it. We stick it to one subject. Photo of the ring with this symbol on it that Erika Kirk was wearing at that town hall. I asked, did anyone see her wearing this ring? So I'll ask again for people that are coming in late. It's okay. Did anyone see Erika Kirk wearing a ring with the Illuminati symbol on it? This symbol here is the Illuminati symbol. Put a 1 in the chat if you saw it. Put a 2 in the chat if you're saying no. 1 for yes, 2 for no. If you saw it, I'm asking for a photo of it because I didn't see it. And I wanted to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. This is the Illuminati symbol. I just want evidence of this. That's it. I just want evidence. It's a yes or no. If you saw it, put a 1 and email me the photo. of a ring she was wearing with this symbol on it, because we're seeing what the symbol looks like. This can be Googled and researched by anybody that chooses to, use a brain today. So this is it. I'm seeing it in my chat too. People are saying she was wearing a ring with the Illuminati symbol. This is the whole symbol. So I want to see a photo of a ring with this symbol on it. First of all, it would be impressive to put all those characters in a ring. Secondly, I'm just saying, if we're making this, if someone is going to allege this can be proven with a photo. Perhaps I missed the ring. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I missed the ring. You can't make this up. Candace is talking about being a Freemason, though. No one has a problem with that. How does Candace get to say she's a Freemason? Because words don't matter to her. She says she's a Freemason of Turning Point, or a Mason of Turning Point. How is that not related to Illuminati? I want a photo of the ring. Good grief.
I'm Nick Brooks.
All right, this is Nick Brooks, you all. And he goes over the Macron versus Owens lawsuit, and losing the motion would be to dismiss would be a disaster. I love the way he, puts out his information. He's very straightforward. He's an attorney. He's a bar licensed attorney. I think this is a second video I've featured in my live, and this is how I do a lot of my research, especially regarding anything related to the lawsuits, the court documents. I listen to real attorneys. So anytime they have any information to impart, aside from me reading or researching information, looking at case law, looking at definitions and breakdowns of the law itself, I will listen to an attorney explain it, because sometimes people need to hear the explanation for it to make sense. And there are attorneys who do explain in very simple terms. They're able to break down concepts, and I appreciate them for it. Andrea Burkhart is another fantastic attorney who's also a content creator who has a Substack where all of the court documents related to the Tyler James Robinson murder trial is posted up. So if you want to read court documents, the motions, the orders, everything related to Tyler Robinson's case, then you can check out Andrea Burkhart's Substack, where all of those documents are there. You can read the stuff with your own two eyes. If you don't care about the investigation, then don't go over there. It's that simple. Don't go read something you don't care about, right? But he gives this breakdown, and I found it to be absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna check this out, and let's get to it.
A California attorney. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Bridget have sued Candace Owens for defamation in Delaware over her turning a debunked rumor about the First Lady's gender into a content series. The only question I care about is this: what happens to Candace if she loses the first big motion in this case? In July 2025, the Macrons filed a defamation lawsuit in Delaware Superior Court, case ID N25C-07-194, against Candace Owens LLC, and Georgetown Inc. The Macrons say that Candace Owens did not just criticize them. She told her audience that Bridget Macron is secretly a man, and tied that to claims of deception and abuse of power, and presented it as fact to millions of people. Those are concrete statements about a person's real identity and conduct, which is exactly what defamation law is built for. Here's the entire Delaware timeline you actually need. July 23rd, 2025, the Macrons file in Delaware, and Candace and her Delaware entities are served that same day. This is now a real case, not just internet beef. September 12th, 2025, Candace teams files a motion to dismiss. The Macrons respond with a first amended complaint. On October 30th, Owens' lawyers file a key motion to dismiss and to strike the first amended complaint. That's the motion the judge is looking at right now. On December 3rd, 2025, the Macrons file their opposition, and the court gives Candace until January 9th, 2026 to file her reply. There's still no hearing date and no trial date on calendar. So we're in a world where all the money and energy is going.
So this is why this thing is taking so long. So whenever one side files something, the other side gets to file a response or reply to it. So now we're waiting on Candace and her three attorneys to file a response to the plaintiff's objection to her motion to dismiss. Don't worry, I go over the court docket in case that was confusing, but it's a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
into this one motion to dismiss and strike. Owen's lawyers even asked for expanded word limits for this motion practice, and the judge let them have the longer briefs. In my entire career, I've never done this. You can, but it reads like, Judge, I need 12,000 words because I'm about to tell you a very long story, which is not how most judges want to hear from you.
They don't like to read all this stuff. I'm so glad he said this because I've been saying the same thing. Why ask for a word limit when you can just say those extra words in your legal argument?
And the judge let them have the longer briefs. In my entire career, I've never done this. You can, but it reads like, Judge, I need 12,000 words because I'm about to tell you a very long story, which is not how most judges want to hear from you. It screams, we're throwing the kitchen sink at this. And they have to, because the Macrons are public figures. They have to prove actual malice, that Candace knew these claims were false or seriously doubted them and pushed them anyway. They're pointing to prior French cases, what they call scientific proof of Bridget's identity, and multiple attempts to correct the record to say she saw this and still turned it into a series. Here's the real danger. If the judge denies that October 30th motion, this case is going to go to discovery. Discovery is where the Macrons' lawyers stop arguing about word counts and start digging into Candace's life and business. They can go after internal emails and direct messages about the Macron story, draft scripts and show notes, communications with sources, and contracts or sponsorships tied to those episodes. They can demand analytics and revenue data, how those videos performed, how much ad money they made, which sponsors were attached. That's evidence on both motive and damages. And they can sit Candace and her team down for depositions and ask under oath what they believe, what warnings they got, and why they kept publishing. Now,
oh dear God, please let that happen. Please let Candace Owens be deposed under the penalty of perjury. Get her ass under oath. That would be epic. Because Candace, you would definitely perjure yourself, girl. You can't tell the truth to save your life.
Macron's lawyers stop arguing about word counts and start digging into Candace's life and business. They can go after internal emails and direct messages about the Macron story, draft scripts and show notes, communications with sources, and contracts or sponsorships tied to those episodes. They can demand
all of Candace Owens' financials that she has, especially where she has generated revenue off of these defamatory episodes and statements, the malicious slander, her post on Twitter X, whatever money she's getting from that, yeah, they can go after all of those financials, the merch, the t-shirts, the cups, the hats. They can go after all of it. I want you all to understand, very simply, this is one of the reasons why Candace Owens is sitting here talking about any and everything except who killed Charlie Kirk and this lawsuit. All that other nonsense, the Egyptian planes and all that BS, it's a distraction from this because this is a very real part of her reality. And she knows that if Judge Rennie denies that motion to dismiss, her entire life is going to be opened up to the public because all of those court documents are going to be made available to the public, with the exception of sensitive financial data and material. They're not going to put out her social security number, stuff like that. But her tax returns are going to be put out there. And it should already be put up anyway because she has an LLC. Candace, you're not escaping anything, girl. You would think she would talk about something else that is related to America first, right? This is what happens when you focus in on a whole nother country and not your own. You dipping your business into a whole nother country. But yet Candace Owens claims to be America first, but she talks about every other country except the United States of America. Does anyone not see that level of hypocrisy? There's so many topics that can be discussed in the U.S., but she would rather talk about what's going on in France, in Australia, with her the appeal for that visa ban being denied. She lost it. She has to pay a judgment. She hasn't even focused on giving refunds for that speaking engagement in Australia. And yet and still, she's so gung-ho on trying to figure out, not even trying to figure out, she's more gung-ho on asking questions of, after 3 months, who killed Charlie Kirk? You should be telling us that, Candace. You heifer. You should be telling us that. All these mommy slews impersonating investigators, nobody can come up with a name and a photo of the actual shooter by now. over there in Candyland with Candace Owens and the cult members? Y'all can't produce one name and a photo of the actual shooter after 3 months of this? Don't trust the feds, but you want the feds to call you and give you information, give you evidence? Nope. All of that to distract from this lawsuit, where I hope that she gets deposed. I would love to tune into that hearing where she's under oath, forced to ask questions in a deposition. Yeah, go ahead and go to court and show your ass if you want to, Candace.
Analytics and revenue data, how those videos performed, how much ad money they made, which sponsors were attached. That's
Exactly.
evidence on both motive and damages. And they can sit Candace and her team down for depositions and ask under oath what they believed, what warnings they got, and why they kept publishing. Now, Candace is not totally exposed. Her lawyers can object to overbroad requests, assert privilege, and get protective orders so sensitive material is kept confidential and filed under seal. But if this motion is denied, Candace does not get to say, no discovery, that's my private life. In a defamation case like this, the whole point is to figure out what she knew, how she ran the content, and how much she profited from it. So big picture, Macrones v. Owens is about whether you can turn very specific, very personal factual accusations about a public figure into recurring monetized content and then call it just commentary when they sue you. All of this too, amended complaints, big briefs, and word limit games is happening before there's even a hearing date or a trial date. That's how high the stakes are on this one motion. If you want to see whether the case dies on this motion to dismiss or goes into full discovery, like the video, drop a comment, subscribe with notifications on, and share this video with someone who thinks it's just content, because it's always not the case. Thank you very much.
I love his delivery. Go back.
I'm Nick Brooks.
I want to make sure you guys see his channel. He's a small content creator. He just started, but this got 30,000 views because he's awesome. This is the second video we played here. I'm going to drop the video link. You guys can go check this out. This is awesome. And you guys can hear. This is what Piers Morgan was trying to tell Candace Owens. If you were an investigative journalist, you will be able to do exactly what he did. He gave both sides of the spectrum. Let me fast forward to where he says, here are the options that Candace Owens' attorneys have. So now Candace is not totally exposed. Her lawyers can object. See, he gave both sides. He put out the facts. He said what the Macrones and their attorneys are able to do and what Candace and her attorneys are able to do. They can object to certain requests for discovery. I don't think that the Macrones, personally, this is my opinion, that the Macrones attorney would ask for something that would be irrelevant to the case. But everything they ask for, both sides, even if it's coming from Candace and her attorneys, if they ask for certain discovery materials, either side has the right to object to it and to be able to provide a legal viable argument as to why they are not able or should not be required to produce certain exhibits. Does that make sense? So just because you say you want some discovery does not mean that the judge may even grant and allow that discovery to be introduced. Both sides would have the opportunity to object to requests. Certain things are just standard. Like the tax documents, the tax filings, that's just standard. Now, how long you go back, maybe going back past 3 or 4 years might be too laborious, depending on how many pages you're looking at and exactly what you're looking for. Are we looking for trends here? You're talking about going past 3 years. She just started talking about the Macrones last year, right? So why go back longer than you have to when it comes to looking at whatever revenue was generated when she was talking about this Macrones thing? So naturally, the Macrones attorney is not going to ask for financials that goes past when she started talking about it. They're going to start it when she started talking about it and when she started making money, her 8-part series and all of that. So that's a scenario where if the Macrones attorney asks, well, we want the last 3 tax filings, so Candace Owens LLC, they may not get the last 3 years. You just want the years that are relevant to where she started generating revenue talking about the Macrones. So those nuances like that, both sides will have the opportunity to object. And the judge is going to grant what is reasonable, what is not overly laborious, what would be, relevant to the case, to their claims, and then what would be permissible based on court rules and the law. So I love how he gives both sides and he remains impartial and neutral, and he just gives the facts. That's how it's done. Candace, this is how it's done.
Broad requests, assert privilege, and get protective orders so sensitive material is kept confidential and filed.
See, these are things that her and her attorneys have options for, just like the Macrons and their attorneys. Very fair, neutral, impartial. That's how it should be.
Under seal. But if this motion is denied, Candace does not get to say, no discovery, that's my private life, and indefinitely.
Exactly, because you don't, Candace. So y'all go check out Nick Brooks. Shout out to him. Fantastic attorney. He looks really, really young, but his delivery is very straightforward. Neither side can say no. Oh, that's, if it's something that is relevant and that the judge will allow, and there's a fair legal argument as to why, then it may be permitted, even if they don't want it to be permitted. Candace, it's not about what you want. No one cares how you feel. You put yourself in the situation and this is what happened. And hopefully Turning Point USA and Erika Kirk will follow suit. Hopefully they'll follow suit. So this is where we are now. She's going to go to court at some point. If her and her attorneys have an argument to make in a response or a reply, they'll file a response. More than likely, if they really want this to move forward, they'll just say, you know what, let's just go ahead and proceed to scheduling a hearing on the motion to dismiss, because it's their motion and they do have the right to have a hearing for it. And of course, the Macron's attorneys are going to go and argue as to why it should be denied. Candace obliterated her own defense with that. They was talking about jurisdiction. The moment she said that her LLCs were registered in the state of Delaware, she established that jurisdiction. So they don't really have any other argument in their motion to dismiss, other than, oh, it's libel tourism and it's a jurisdiction thing. Well, your own client said that she's got LLCs there, so she can get over it, kick rocks. What else are you expecting her to say? But we're waiting for the hearing. Maybe the candy asses can tell her, why don't you just go ahead and schedule the hearing and get to the discovery phase like you said you wanted to do. She wants subpoena power that she doesn't understand. That's not how it works, but whatever. We're all waiting for you to get there, Candace. Go ahead and get there. Let's get some comments in. I'm going to see here. Bonjour said, I believe most of us who has once followed Scamdis had done our research and turned out our eyes were open to her crap. Most of us do more research and asking questions for her. Exactly. Candace, who's the shooter? It's been 3 months. Tell us who the shooter is. Y'all, the cult members are going to just ask questions to deflect. I don't care. They're not asking anything that's valuable. Anything you say, they're going to sit here and question it. They keep saying I'm being paid, but they're not leaving me a super either, so I don't really care. That's their go-to. It's a copy and paste situation. Now, they don't have anything valuable to say. Let's see here. S-Files, what's going on? I wish I had some snow. I have AC. But I mean, she's not answering any of our questions. I know. Candace isn't. Candace, who's the shooter? It's been 3 months. Tomorrow is the debunking of Candace's nonsense by Turning Point USA. I will be going live and covering that. If I can do it live when they're live, I will. But I definitely will go live and cover it. Who's the shooter, Candace? You said you were committing your life to finding out who assassinated Charlie Kirk. That should not require for you to have to sit here and bog down the FBI that you don't trust. So you shouldn't be relying on them to tell you anything. You should be going out and finding this information yourself. Why won't she go to the campus and do a tour? That's what I'm curious of. That's my question. Candace, why won't you go to UVU campus and do a tour there? Just go there yourself and see. Some of the questions you have might get answered. Take your cult members with you because they only believe what you say. It's funny, they question everybody else's motives, but they won't keep their cult leader on track. When she said she was going to find out who assassinated Charlie Kirk. So why isn't she telling us that? Can't make this up. CC, what's going on? Well, I was going to switch everything over to winter, but Texas said no. Susie Q said if he has the dirt on Candace, he will get the attention. I'm not a fan of his, but sometimes he says something right. He won't go after Erika. He said things, but his target is Candace. Let's see here. It was Tyler George Floyd Robertson. You can't make this up. Ongoing, no conclusion, so they lost nothing. Candace will lose plenty for running her mouth. Yeah. Nikki said, Candace's followers think just because we don't believe her means we believe anything. Meanwhile, we believe anything she spews. Hypocrites. Told you she's a TPUSA follower. I don't know what that means. So do your research, guys. Yeah. Dana says, are they answering Candace's questions? No. Why should they? They don't. Why should they? Why would she even ask them? Who are you talking about? TPUSA or FBI? Because Candace has the opportunity to go ask questions face to face in person, and you all are making excuses for that nonsense. Because George said no. So Boys Club gets to say no, and no one is challenging him on that. But she can go ask these questions face to face, and she doesn't take the opportunity to do it. It is just very cowardly, but she can go to Dollywood. So you don't have a problem with her going to Dollywood because I'm just going to laugh at this. There's no problem with her going to Dollywood. But, it's so many issues and excuses you're rendering on her behalf, she who does not pay your mortgage, on her behalf when it comes to her going in person to Phoenix. They don't have to answer Candace's questions because the questions, first of all, are stupid. Secondly, why ask a question from the FBI when you don't trust them? Once again, none of the cult members are answering that. They skipping over and they dipping and dodging and dancing around it. Why go to the FBI if you don't trust them? Once again, is it a listening comprehension issue or reading comprehension issue? Should I type the question in the chat? Maybe they'll understand that. Why ask the FBI anything when you don't trust them? That means the answer they give, she's not going to trust it. So why ask them if she doesn't trust it? She's already made up in her mind, I'm not going to trust or believe anything they say or do. She's already said that. So it's the candy asses and the bots that are not watching her episodes. I just figured it out. To the Lady Luck Club, to all the Lucksters. The candy ass cult members and the bots are the ones that are not listening to her episodes. Because if they were, they would have remembered her saying that at least twice. Nothing they say or do will get me to believe them. I'm not persuaded on anything they say or do. I don't care about the investigation. She said that as well. So why would she need to ask the FBI a question if she doesn't trust their answer and she's already made up in her mind they're lying to her? It's called aggravating them. You're just being annoying. I don't see the point. Don't even think about the FBI. You don't trust them. In your world, in Candyland, why does the FBI even exist? We can all ask questions as well. Why does the FBI exist in the world of Candyland when you don't trust them? They shouldn't even be a factor. Can't make this up. Oh, God. The thing about friends opens people's eyes to finding out who their own leaders really are and if they claim to be is the truth. You can't scientifically prove that someone was born a man, and Candace needs the blood of the first lady to prove that she was. You don't have any medical records to prove that there was a sex change. So what scientific evidence do you have to prove that someone was biologically born one way or the other? Because that's based on science. Biology, human anatomy is science. So you need scientific evidence to prove science. Thoughts and opinions are not going to fly in court. Candace thinks that the court of public opinion somehow means something in the court of law, and it doesn't. She's about to F around and find out about that one. It doesn't. If she goes in and does a deposition, first of all, she's not studying any of the cult members. To the Candy ass cult followers, Candace doesn't care about any of you people. She doesn't care about anything you're saying or doing because she knows she can't go into court and be put under oath and then repeat all this nonsense that you all are saying in everybody else's chats and comment section. She's not going to be able to say that. She knows that. That's why she asked for the blood of the first lady. You know, I have my doctors fly out, take a little blood, get this done real quick. Her doctors can't get blood out of Brigitte Macron. They don't have the authority to do it. These are legal concepts that the candy ass cult members, they leave and then they never read about this stuff. So then when they come back again, they just copy and paste in the same old thing, even though I've already said this. This is stuff they can read and research. They won't do it. They're not trying to get the facts. They're just copying and pasting. It's a hive mentality. She can't force blood out of Brigitte Macron. They are bringing scientific evidence on their own accord. It will not be required, but they're bringing it because you need science to prove something that's scientific. It's called biology. Can't make this up. Human anatomy. Whether it be through an x-ray of the pelvic or some blood work, you need scientific evidence to prove someone is born a man or a woman. That's the problem. Candace should have never purported this to be a fact, listening to all these clowns pumping her up and boosting up her ego and pride. She should have taken the time to talk to her 3 attorneys and said, you know, I want to make sure I'm not crossing into the realm of being sued. The Macrons are showing us how it's done with this lawsuit. And they have plenty of evidence to meet their burden of malice intent, Candace. So you're not getting away with that. I just hope that Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA take a page from that book, be able to prove malice, and sue the crap out of Candace Owens. Because no one owes her anything else. Just because Candace wants this to stay in the court of public opinion means nothing to no one. 2025, can't wait. Candace is going to move to England because she's the Honorable Mrs. Farmer, daughter-in-law of Lord Farmer. She'll run and hide before it's over. Shout out to you, Mr. Darcy. That's funny. She might just do that. She already said she wants to be Russian and move to Russia. All I ask Candace is that you take your coat with you, okay? You go move to Russia, England, wherever you're going. Take your coat with you. You're banned from Australia. You can't make this up. Candy ass is not asking questions. She is throwing out one theory after another. That's it. Zero evidence. Exactly. Nobody owned Candace anything at all. They don't owe her anything. She asks questions but gives zero answers. We'll soon find out who the liars are. Why do we need to find out? You all should be telling us. Tell Candace to tell us who the shooter is. If you don't care about the investigation, I don't expect Candace to be following it, right? Why would she watch the hearings if she doesn't care about the investigation? How much more hypocritical is it going to get? Candace doesn't care about the investigation. She said so. She doesn't care about their evidence. She doesn't care about the feds. She doesn't trust them. She says she's going to tell us who the assassin is. So why isn't she telling us that after 3 months? Why does CPUSA or the FBI need to answer any questions from Candace? She's still asking the same questions she's been asking since September 11th, 12th. When is she going to start answering questions she said she would answer? She doesn't have to trust that it's Tyler Robinson. No one is forcing her to believe that. We don't care if she believes it or not. She said she would tell us who the shooter is. Candace Owens, tell us who the shooter is. To the candy asses, get her to tell us who the shooter is. That's it. Tell us who the shooter is. That's what she's supposed to be doing. It shouldn't even be that hard. That's all I'm saying. That gun they said he had will take off my mama head. Would it? That's sad. Do you all reckon she gonna stream it live? She said she will react to it in real time. So I'm assuming that's going to be Candace's show tomorrow. I don't see why she would even listen if she's not going to believe anything they say. Candace, you don't make sense at all. You never do. But if you don't believe anything TPUSA is saying, you don't trust anything that's coming out of their mouths. You already said you hate everyone. You already said that everybody's treasonous. I'm assuming you're just talking to you and your coat because we ain't got nothing to do with that. You already said that there's nothing they can tell you or convince you to believe that the FBI is putting out the real story. Okay, well, don't watch. Why waste your time in watching anything that Turning Point has to say? Shouldn't you be talking about something going on in America? Anything else? That's all I'm saying. Why talk about Egyptian planes? The entire continent of Africa, Candace, is not stun you. Can't make this up. Yeah, she might stream it though. I think she will. It's crazy. Why stream it if you don't care what they have to say? Candace didn't even read the whole indictment in her show. She had a summary that shows she doesn't care about truth. Exactly. Let's say she read the indictment and based on what she read and compared it to another indictment, said when it comes down to certain evidence and information, this seems to be missing something. Those questions would be a lot more plausible and logical and valid because you're basing the questions off of what you believe is missing from the indictment and comparing it to another indictment that's similar to this case. Like, even if she has some sort of foundational context to this, I mean, I've even asked about when did the gun get put together? Like, that's questions based on the indictment, based on what I was expecting to see clearly in the indictment. When I read it, I was left with that question. I would expect them to outline when the gun at some point was assembled. But the way it reads is as if that didn't get picked up in the camera, so they don't really know. And it's like, well, that's something you're going to need to know. But that's a logical question based on the indictment itself and me reading it. She didn't even read it. And she expects the FBI to tell her something when she doesn't even trust the FBI. There's nothing they're going to be able to tell her. They can say blah, 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 womp, womp, womp. It wouldn't be any different than them saying, well, here's this evidence and here's this. And we found this DNA here and he was on the side of the building in this video. Like, all that stuff would be moot to her because she doesn't trust it. She doesn't believe it. So why does she want to have a discussion with them? Why is she demanding that they show her evidence? Why? They're not going to be able to convince her because she already has her mind made up. She doesn't give a damn and she doesn't trust it. It's that simple. So move on and go tell us who the shooter is, Candace. You and your mommy slews impersonating investigators. Y'all tell us who the shooter is. You shouldn't even care about what the FBI or TPUSA has to say or Erika Kirk. They shouldn't even care. They should be leaving him alone. Leave him alone. By the way, it's now proven that they lied about COVID big time. We're not talking about COVID. Y'all got to stick to the point. We're not talking about COVID. I don't care if Candace throws that in. It's done to distract. I don't care. Tell us who the shooter is. You trust the FBI that Epstein is a hoax. Tell us who the shooter is of Charlie Kirk. Y'all see how we do this? To see what? They paved over the entire scene. Tell us who the shooter is. That's who she's supposed to be telling us. She's supposed to be telling us that. Who is the shooter? Y'all go ask your cult leader that. I hope they block her from live streaming. We want to know who the shooter is. She can go to the airport and check out the Egyptian planes that are there. She won't even show us a video or photos or nothing. She can't even tell us where she get this so-called She really thinks that the transponder was just cut off and it can be seen with the naked eye. No data to support a transponder was cut off. We still don't know who Harry Meyer is. Like things that she could be bringing up and discussing, she's not doing that. So we have no idea who Harry Meyer is. He's claiming it. So whoever sent that email is claiming that they saw the transponder was cut off. They didn't give us any black box data to support that. She probably would not know what the black box data would tell her. No evidence on that. None. Everyone knows they lied about COVID. We're not talking about COVID. No, I want to know who the shooter is. That's what I'm telling the cult members here. Like, I don't even care. Does anyone have COVID in the chat? Just out of curiosity. I don't want to belittle you having COVID if you have it. Does anyone have COVID? Anyone been diagnosed with COVID lately? Candace is only bringing that up because she's trying to show some pattern about the government lying. More reason, Candace, more reason why you should not be trying to get evidence from the FBI. If you believe that they're liars, you don't trust them, then don't demand anything from them. You're proving my case, my point. Candace, you and your cult followers are proving my point. Why go to them about anything if you don't trust it? If you believe that all they do is lie, then stop asking them for information. For you to still say they're lying, I don't believe it. No, it's not real. None of this is true, people. Okay, well, why get in the first place? I don't believe in wasting my time with the nonsense. If I say my teachers are lying to me about something, I'm in school, and I believe my teacher is teaching me information that is not true or accurate, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna unenroll out of that class. I'm gonna enroll in another class because I don't believe this teacher is teaching me factual information. I'm not going to keep going to that class and paying to go to this class for this teacher to teach me information that I believe is not truthful or accurate. I don't get it. She's literally asking them to give her something she doesn't care about and she won't believe. I gotta keep the Candy Else cult members on pace because we want to know who the shooter is. We want to know who Candace Owens is accusing to be the shooter. Candace, we're waiting. It's been 3 months, girl. Can't make this up. Bonjour said it. Curious to do your research on your Delulu scam. The warrior said they paved over the crime scene very fast too. Okay. I mean, you're talking about the one part of that area. He also climbed down the side of a building. He ran across the field. No one's saying that you got to stand at that one spot. I'm curious to know these underground tunnels. Anybody gonna go underground and record that? Because she could have went to the UVU and did a live stream out there. Candace, since you care about PR, that would have been a good PR strategy for you. And you could have went underground and showed us these underground tunnels and everything else in between. She's the one that brought the underground tunnels up. No one brought that up. Candace brought that up. All these things that she keeps bringing up, she can go out and be boots on the ground, and go and record. Do a live stream while you're at that airport or somewhere near it where you can point out planes landing and taking off from this military airport. She sends out people to do her dirty work, and for what? She can go do it. Candace, that's what good journalists do. It makes sense. So there's a whole trail of where the shooter was. She didn't have to stand in one spot. She can follow the entire trail. And then she can ask questions and either debunk things or things can be confirmed for her along the way. And I'm sure many of her supporters and followers will be willing to meet her at UVU campus. And they can all be out there. And they can all do the little tour and follow the little path. And then you guys can ask questions in real time. What's so wrong with that? What's wrong with Candace Owens going to UVU with some of her followers, and then you follow the trail of Tyler Robinson, and then ask questions in real time while you're live streaming? What would be so bad about that? Why fight something like that? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Then you can see it for yourself. You don't have to trust the FBI. You don't have to care about an investigation. You get to go out there and do it on your own and see in real time for yourself. What's so wrong about that? She's investigating. These things take time. It's been 3 months. She hasn't told us anything about a shooter. She keeps talking about planes. Did the plane shoot Charlie Kirk? Did anyone see any firepower come from these planes flying overhead? Did anybody parachute out of the planes and shoot Charlie Kirk? What do the planes have to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination? She can't even connect those two dots. Once again, what's so wrong about her going to the campus? Perhaps going to that airport where she think these planes were. What's wrong with being boots on the ground? CK says ask questions. We're asking questions too. Candace, who's the shooter? It's been 3 months. Nobody should believe anyone. Look at yourself. We got brains. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather she not believe anything and then go out there and do a tour herself of the campus or go to that airport or that base. Go talk to that high-ranking French government employee that called her talking about payments being made to Club de Sant. I mean, we're still waiting on that one. Where's the paper trail on that? Candace, you're supposed to be getting, not France. You were supposed to be getting it. She won't even get evidence related to her own alleged assassination attempt. That's some piss poor, whatever you want to call it, because I don't call that an investigation. Is it Mimi? Sorry, Mimi. It's not a gun, it's a rifle. Furthermore, different types of bullets, some more powerful. Yes, based on the grain. That's what we've learned in our research last week. Based on the grains of the bullets, the bullet itself is stronger the higher the grain. The smaller bullets, no reply will correct me if I'm wrong, have the ability to fly faster because they're smaller and lighter. So, and then of course, what type of bullets are we talking about? Are these bullets going to fragment upon impact? How much damage does it cause? All those things matter when it comes to doing any type of forensic analysis regarding the gun and the bullets. Those things will come up in the murder trial to the jury. Candace is not even researching that. So, holler at me when she researches various grains of a bullet. Like, Google that. Erika was not a public figure until the death of Charlie. She was Charlie's wife and mother of his children. Absolutely agree, Diane. And she said that herself. She said, I didn't go into this thinking I was going to be CEO, unlike Candace Owens. I was not trying to be CEO, but this is something that, fell on her shoulders when he passed. And of course, he would want his wife to be CEO. So either they're saying Charlie Kirk was not smart enough to pick good people in his life and use wisdom when it came to the people close to him, including Candace Owens, because he hired her. She didn't build anything. Charlie Kirk hired Candace Owens. So was he using bad judgment with that? Just as much as, Candace and her cult following want to sit here and say, oh, Erika Kirk is a horrible person. Charlie Kirk asked Erika Kirk to marry him. So the same whatever nonsense you're saying Charlie Kirk was under, you're saying he's not smart enough to select people in his life that would not do him harm, that he doesn't have a good judge of character. They'll say that about Erika Kirk, but they won't say that about Candace Owens. Make that make sense. Either he had a good judge of character or he didn't. Which one is it? I don't do hypocrisy and whataboutisms. So did Charlie Kirk have a good judge of character or not? Because Candace Owens said he did. Erika Kirk said he did. All the people that worked around him at Turning Point said he did. So either he had a good judge of character or he just didn't and he missed the mark. That was the same thing that was said in What Do You Mean? You content created a video we checked out yesterday. He said the same thing. Either Charlie Kirk had a bad judge of character, he was not smart enough to select good people in his life, or he didn't. So what they say about Erika Kirk and him selecting Erika Kirk can be said of Candace Owens. He hired her. The hypocrisy, that's what happens when you're hypocritical. It comes back and it bites you in the ass. Because you got to say he's either a bad judge of character or he had discernment and good sense and he used wisdom. Which one is it? They didn't lose. Do your research before you comment, please. Francisca, if you only knew how the comments I was scrolling through, I was like, oh God. It's like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, all caps, cuss words, copy, paste, copy, paste. That's all I see. I was like, Jesus Christ. Some of them I just laughed at because I was like, this is unbelievable. Oh man, in a live stream, it's recorded. It's recorded. We can't make this up. Jay says, who's asking who? Just for like, I don't know. What you believe happened? I believe the evidence. Tell me what happened. I don't think it matters what I believe. I don't think you're asking me because you actually care about what I believe. It's not a belief. I go on facts and evidence. I don't just sit here and say it's just my belief and discernment. No, facts don't care about my feelings or Candace. I follow the evidence and the facts. I follow information that I can read, tangible information and evidence that I can see, video evidence. I follow the facts and the evidence. That's it. So far, Tyler Robinson confessed. His parents turned him in. He was captured on video. They have his DNA. They have his fingerprints. They have his footprints. They have the weapon. They have the bullet. It traced back to him. He admitted to these items belonging to him. I follow the facts and the evidence. Testimony is evidence. So when he testifies, he's going to be introducing evidence to the case. That's if he testifies. You're going to have experts testifying. Testimony is evidence as well. Testimony is given under oath, not just because someone's saying something in a video. It has to be under oath. So when you're testifying under oath, that is considered evidence in court. I follow the evidence. That's how I do. I can't wait for TPUSA coverage tomorrow. Either Boys Club pretend birthday tomorrow. I know, right? Why did he tell her no? That's what I'm curious to know. It's like she want to pick and choose when George is the man of the house. Okay, come on. But he won't tell her to go make me a sandwich, dear. Go make me a sandwich. Please shut up. Go make a sandwich. She got a whole book called Make Him a Sandwich, and she's not doing any of that. That is so hypocritical. You write a whole book saying make him a sandwich, and she doesn't even make her own husband a sandwich. You can't make this up. Mr. Darcy says Candace is always talking about the elites. She is one of the elites because her and George are valued at $244 million max. That's the high end. Her husband's family are multi-millionaires, exactly, with old money, by the way, old money. Money has been running through their family for generations. Mr. Cooper is her father-in-law's nickname. His company controls price of copper. Mr. Copper, not Cooper, Copper. Mr. Copper. And they control the price of copper. Get out of here. And Candace can't make a donation to TPUSA. But she complains about donors donating to TPUSA, which is a nonprofit organization where they rely on donations and contributions because they're not for profit. Can't make this up. Oh, child. I think you're right, but I don't trust him to not throw Erica and TP USA under the bus. I'm trying to get some of you all's comments in. Conspiracy theories are like all others. Remain open-minded, skeptical, and ask questions. It's not about believing everything one person says. Sift through the info from all. I mean, that's a good starting point, right? Shout out to Kristen. Good starting point. If you don't listen, no one's forcing anyone to trust anything anyone is saying. I always encourage people to fact check me. When I pulled up that Illuminati symbol, I said, okay, if people are saying that Erika Kirk was wearing a ring with that symbol on it, email me the photo of it. I didn't see it, but perhaps they saw something I missed. So I asked for the evidence. I asked for a photo to be emailed to me of Erika Kirk wearing a ring with that Illuminati symbol on it. Based on my Google search, that is the Illuminati symbol. This is it. So I said, okay, why just believe what they say? Let me ask for a photo. That's exactly what I encourage. You don't have to trust what I'm saying. I mean, most people probably won't even trust this because I pulled it up. They can pull it up themselves. The problem is that people don't always, especially when you talk about these hardcore conspiracy theorists, they don't research and read and Google information that would go against what they've already decided in their mind they're going to believe. They don't. It's too much like right. But yet and still, they want to question people about what they believe or what they see in research to be true and to be factual. That's the problem. Don't question me about me and the information that I believe to be true and factual. Or the evidence that I'm saying lines up, because in this reality on earth, certain evidence you need for a murder trial, period. You need DNA, you need fingerprints, you need a weapon. You need the method of how that person was unalive. Like, you need that. And your evidence needs to line up with the accusation, with the charge. So if I believe the evidence, if I believe the information, if I can research and see there's case law where evidence similar or same types of evidence was used in other cases where these criminals were, the accused was found guilty, then I'm going to go with that because it's evidence to support it. They're not asking me because they really care if I believe something or not. They're asking because they want to see what I say just so they can disagree with it either way. That's what's so crazy here. I'm not going to stop believing evidence in this reality on earth because you have people who are so conspiratorial. They don't believe anything. They don't even believe they live on earth in a real life. They feel like they're in a matrix. Dinosaurs don't exist. The earth is flat and all this. No. I will not take that on my, I refuse to go there on my platform. And I refuse to disseminate anything that's so far off that it can't even be factually proven because it's so conspiratorial. So even if you don't believe it, you got to start with, okay, what am I able to believe? What am I willing to believe? If you don't believe 2 + 2 is 4, then we can't talk about algebra and fractions when you don't believe simple arithmetic. Candace, you're the one that said you don't know the difference between the number 9 and the letter N. She said that. That came out of her mouth. Candace Owens said that. So I question her reading skills and comprehension either way. She doesn't know the difference between the letter N and the number 9. So who knows what the hell she's seeing when she reads. But if we can't agree that 2 + 2 is 4, and that's a fundamental fact, that's what we all understand mathematics to be, we can't talk about trigonometry, more complex mathematics. We can't even go there because we can't even agree on the simple stuff. So when you're asking questions, if you don't believe the basics, basic science, then you're not going to understand ballistic analysis. Like, you're not going to understand diagnostic testing, facial recognition analysis. Complex scientific evidence presented is going to go over your head because we can't agree on basic science. Just simple things. That's the problem. People are questioning things that they can just Google and research and read. And if they don't want to even accept that, then how can we have a discussion on something more complex? Basic stuff is not even being, accepted as evidence. Basic research, basic information is not even being accepted as evidence, as fact, as a matter of truth. These people won't even agree that the definition of lying includes being hypocritical, deceptive, misleading, like synonyms, terms that all are synonymous with lying goes over their head. You're giving false statements. If we can't agree to the definition of lying, then they're not going to agree that Candace is lying about something when she fails to produce evidence. She knows what lying by omission is, but yet she won't tell her audience that so they can all agree this is the basic definition of lying by omission. So when she does it, they don't question her on it. The Candy Ass cult members will not question Candace Owens when she lies by omission, when she omits information intentionally to be misleading and deceptive, to lie. But when anyone else does it, whenever she says someone else is doing it, they go with it. If we can't agree that lying by omission applies to every person, doesn't matter what I believe. Candy Ass is just going to put this stuff in here to be disingenuous because, copy and paste. They don't care. We have to agree on basic evidence and information. We have to agree on definitions of terms. We have to agree that 2 + 2 is 4. We have to agree that there's a fundamental difference between the letter N and the number 9. Because Kansas don't know the difference. She said this, not me. She's the one that says she hates everyone. Why are we being asked why are we hating her? No one hates her. Candace said, I hate everyone. That came out of her mouth. She hasn't corrected that either, by the way. And everyone would include all persons. So that would include her cult. So while you all out here defending her, you might want to think twice because she said this. I hate everyone. She said it. They asked me if I'm watching her shows. It's so dumb. I have clips of things she say from her shows. And they're asking me if I watch her shows. It's the same people that come in and ask me that. It's insane. But basic things we can't even agree to. Basic information. I'll pull it up. I hate everyone. Everyone is treasonous. I guess she believes that people should be hung as well. Seriously. So tell me exactly why should I believe someone is sitting here saying I hate everyone because she can't get her way? She said this. We're all traitors. Who's all traitors? Who is we? I hate everyone. That includes the cult members. You all are defending someone that says she hates everyone. And she has not corrected this. You all should be asking her a lot of questions. How do you hate your cult members when they're out here defending you? All over everybody else's videos. This is what she said. This is in her episode where she's wearing this ugly ass shirt. Go watch it. You can hear her say the words yourself. Cult members don't even want to do that. It's laziness. It's the laziness of it all. Go watch this episode and hear her say this. People are asking us why we're hating on her. She literally said she hates everyone. I've never said I hate Candace. Never. I don't hate her. She's just a liar. She's a narcissist. She's a pathological, psychological liar. That's not the same as hate. And it's a mighty strong word to use. But if she's not smart enough to avoid saying this and saying that she hates everyone, why are we being asked why we're hating on her when the definition of that term does not even apply? Criticism is not a direct reflection of hate, but that's a matter of definitions of terms. Cult members won't even look up definitions of terms. She literally said, I hate everyone, and they're not questioning that. They're not questioning that. Why are we being questioned on our criticism of her? But she says it, and they don't say anything about it. She doesn't give a damn about her cult members. She don't care how any of you feel. Fact that people who are listening to her going to jail for issuing death threats. Erika Kirk and the kids are being having kidnapping threats thrown their way. Are the cult members okay with that? How much more soulless is this going to get? Are you all okay with 2 small minor children under the age of 3 receiving kidnapping threats? Y'all good with that? Are you good with that? Are you good with Candace Owens putting this nonsense out here? People are listening to it. And these sick, sadistic demons are issuing death threats and kidnapping threats against Erika Kirk and the 2 small children under 3. Are you good with that? Are you good with that? Who knows? But those threats are being sent. She's getting these threats. You're asking why would people want to do that? Sick people. 2 men are sitting in jail for sending death threats. Because they listened to Candace Owens. Death threats are being sent. Why would anyone want to send a death threat to somebody? But they're receiving them. They're getting them. Are you good with these kids getting kidnapping threats? Don't ask why would anyone do that. 6 sadistic people are doing it. Are you good with that? Are you good with that? Candace hasn't provided any threats. Are you good with that? Stop dancing around it. Are you good with Erika Kirk, who had already been receiving death threats? This isn't anything new. Erika Kirk was already receiving death threats. Now she's getting even more that has been handed over to the feds. Along now with kidnapping threats. Are you good with that? Yes or no? The FBI has that information. You know something that Candace Owens won't show proof of? Why don't she show us the text message she sent to that FBI agent? This alleged FBI agent that's high ranking. You know, that same FBI she doesn't trust. Or evidence of a confirmation that she submitted a formal FBI complaint. Why won't she post that up? Tell Candace to post that up. Are you good with that? Yes or no? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no. Are you good with Candace Owens influencing people to issue out death threats and kidnapping threats to Erika Kirk and these 2 small kids? Yes or no? They post up everything but a yes or no. It's simple. They won't even answer that. This is where the inability to have a conversation comes into play, because you get these cult members that don't even want to believe the words they're seeing here, where she says, I hate everyone. Well, the fact that the FBI does have the evidence of these death threats and kidnapping threats, but they won't ask her to post up a text message she sent to this high-ranking FBI person, whoever that is. That's if they exist. or file a formal complaint. She hasn't shown any evidence that she has an assassination attempt on her. That's an evidence, piece of evidence you will show. The text message you sent to the FBI, confirmation of a formal FBI complaint you filed online. You all realize there's a website, right? To the candy asses. Y'all know there's a website where you can file a formal FBI complaint. It's a whole website on that. You can't make this up. They don't answer questions that simple questions. Are you good with that? It's so crazy. But anything she says, yep, that's real. They won't question why is she saying I hate everyone though. You can't blame the other side for being hateful when she literally said I hate everyone. You know, because that would be hypocritical, which is synonymous for lying. But she says it. And the candy ass cult members aren't questioning why she said I hate everyone. They ask everything else and they dance around this. What kind of conversation can we have when they won't even accept the reality that their own cult leader is the one saying, I hate everyone? That is the epitome of spreading hate, is it not? Criticizing her doesn't fit the definition of the word hate. But her saying, I hate everyone, they're good with that. They're good with this. Candace said, I hate everyone. They're okay with that. Exactly, bonjour. Just absolute shitty. They're good with this. Candace said this. So her coach should be asking her tomorrow, why did you say you hate everyone? You're spreading hate when you literally say you hate everyone. You're spreading it like a virus. Brain rot. But they won't question her on it. Somehow logic doesn't apply here. Very logical question. Candace, why did you say this? Simple. Don't ask us what we believe. Ask her why she said, I hate everyone, when she's the one spreading all this hate. She's spreading it right here. This came out of her mouth. The episode where she's wearing this ugly shirt, she said this. She said everybody's traitors, everybody's treasonous. I hate everyone. So I'll wait for the candy ass cult members to ask her, why did you say that? Obviously, they don't care. You're absolutely right. They don't care about hate. They don't care about being hypocritical. They don't care about her being deceptive, misleading, lying by omission, lying. She's spreading hate, saying that. No one has said, I've never said I hate Candace. Never. But she says it and they don't care. She told us, yeah, we could exactly TFCS. She told us that if we criticize her and call her out, we're going to burn in hell for eternity. Who she thinks she is to send people to hell. Exactly. She's not God. Oh, I've had comments come up in here from her cult following where one of them compared her to Jesus Christ and asked me why I'm laughing. What do you mean? I find it laughable that you think she's comparable to Jesus Christ now. But she said, I hate everyone. This is what she said. When they're faced with the fact here of what came out of her mouth, crickets. Can't make this up. It's just, man, the hypocrisy and the who want to send these threats. A evil, soulless, sadistic person that's listening to Candace Owens when she says, I hate everyone. She's spreading hate. Literally. It literally came out of her mouth. This is the epitome of it. So when I say she's spreading hate, I'm using her words that she spoke. I don't even have to theorize that. It's right here in literal form. You can't make this stuff up. All right, y'all. Got another live to get to. I appreciate you all for tuning in. And if you guys can join me in the next live, we're going to be talking about a cult leader so you all can see how bad cults and cult leaders are and how abusive they are, whether it be psychological or mental, or emotional or physical, or even spiritually abusive. Abuse is abuse. And this is what cult leaders perpetuate, this abuse. And so we'll be talking about Nature Boy, be checking out 2 episodes. And I want people to understand what cults and cult leaders, cult of personalities are all about. Because when you see a cult leader saying, I hate everyone, and then they have this influence over others that drives them to want to go out and send death threats and kidnapping threats, you don't have to ask why would anyone want to do that? Because their cult leader is saying they hate everyone. That's why. Can't make this up. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Tell the cult members to ask Candace Owens who's the shooter, because that's what she's supposed to be telling us. She asking questions for 3 months. This is enough for her asking questions. She's supposed to be the one telling us the answer. That's what she said. Candace, we're just using your words against you. Y'all hit the like button. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be live streaming tomorrow for the TPUSA debunking session. Preferably that leads to a huge, massive lawsuit against Candace Owens. They need to do it and go from there. All right. See y'all in the next one. Shout out to all of you all so much. Thank you for the new members. To Sorella for the new members. To, I want to say, is this Jacelyn Brennan? Thank you for the 199 super. Matt Walsh called her out by name. Yes, he did. I saw that video. It was awesome. And then this is a link to Nick Brooks, the fantastic attorney that gave us the breakdown on the motion to dismiss and possibilities of what can happen with the case moving forward, coming from a real bar licensed attorney. So shout out to Nick Brooks. And then, of course, another 199 super from, and I want to make sure I'm saying it may be Jacelyn. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I'm sorry. Paramount Tactical had lady on who did research on planes. Oh, yes. And he had Jay Witt on in that same episode. So we'll check that out. We'll get to it because I actually enjoyed the Paramount Tactical video from yesterday regarding the cult of personality. And it's dead on. It's spot on. People need to call out cult leaders when you see it. They have a pattern, and it's just, at this point for me doing a lot of research on it, it's easy to spot. It's easy to see the cult of personality. And that's what Candace has. She has a cult. At least you would think she will own up to it. Candace is your cult. All right. Thank y'all so much. Let's get to the next one, and I will see you all then. Until then, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.